website.com. It's 11:59 on Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song. Buy things at here websites.com.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour or so. All right, so it's 9 something. We just started a little bit late tonight. It is 9:12, so we're starting a little bit late. But as soon as I get rid of some of this stuff on the screen, I can find what window we're supposed to have open here. All right, and we're on episode, I don't know, I started this earlier today, but episode 1000 something, I'm sure. Does this need to be open? No. So they can close it. Oh, I see. Save changes. No. I don't know if that was a smart move or not, but that's what happens when you close things after you forget what the hell you were doing in that software. All right, we're on episode whatever, and it's Friday, and see what happens tonight. We'll see. Sometimes we have a great show. Sometimes we have a boring show. And tonight is, I don't think there's anything crazy going on tonight. It was sort of a holiday week, and I don't think there's a holiday on the other side of this weekend. So we'll see if people show up. We got a barbecue showing up already. The way we start this show, the way we run this show is we put out links, and we encourage you to be part of the show. This is a conversation. I guess I should call it a show. It's a conversation. It's a chat. So be part of it. You can be like a DJ or Erstwhile and participate in the comments out there, or like barbecue and jump in here. Thanks for jumping in.
No problem. Thanks for dropping the link.
So I've been doing all kinds of stuff today. I'm not screen sharing, so I can open this up again. Mainly, I have something going to somebody that is waiting on something, and then a similar thing going to another person. None of them are listening to this, so it's basically, though, I'm just trying to get somebody's ear to not take a bunch of pictures of what they got before the other person gets it and sees it. If that makes sense. So I'm trying to be vague, but anyway, trying to keep a secret. And I made a mistake by sending it to 2 different people that don't live the same distance from me, I guess. So anyway, one of them won't get their thing till Monday, and the other one already got it today. And I haven't successfully gotten a hold of the person that got it today, and I just don't want them posting a picture of it and ruin it for the other person. So none of them are listening to this, but that's something that's annoying that I've did to myself here, that I've been trying to unsuccessfully track or deal with today. Otherwise, it is Free Patch Friday, and a bunch of people jumped on to I guess I put the post up. I posted a video, posted some stuff on Instagram. So people have jumped in to grab some of the 2A rally flags. Let's see.
Is Angelina selling that flag on her store?
No. At least not that I know of. She has not jumped in here, but she's made one for me last year, and then I took it with me to DC, and then I got there. So I got to DC, I don't know, a day ahead of time, and then farted around DC. I wanted to see, get my bearings in DC. It had been a while since I'd been there. So I drove around downtown in the van, see where everything was, and figure out where this thing was going to be, this event was going to be. I knew where the Capitol is kind of, but knowing where to park for the Capitol isn't same thing as knowing where the Capitol is. So I went down there and saw a lot of different parking places were, and got an idea of what was about to happen. Unfortunately, not really. I mean, it was worth going down there and seeing stuff, but because of that baseball or football or whatever, some sports thing happened and ruined everything. Everything got blocked off, and I guess what normally would have been potential or opportunity was destroyed or changed just because so many people showed up and they just like blocked off areas that normally wouldn't be blocked off on a normal day. Anyhow,
Yeah, it's a World Series parade or some crap like that.
yeah, I forget. It was something big. So anyway, she made one version for me. So because of the way that I had planned, I guess, theoretically to go down, to basically just either sleep overnight in DC if that's possible, or get there super early and be just one of the first people to park somewhere. Because I really didn't have plans to go eat breakfast or something. Actually, yeah, we didn't have any plans to go eat breakfast or nothing. We just sort of met up and got ourselves downtown with like stupid Uber or whatever. So anyway, I wouldn't have missed anything in the morning by just being somewhere staged. And then that would have put my van somewhere, hopefully within walking distance of the event. I would have had the dog and everything. And in that case, I would have been there as it was setting up and stuff. And in that case, I would have had the flag. I would have gave it to them and they could have put it up. But as it is, because of the way it all worked out and the crowds, and then because of the crowds, our Uber from not that far away took way longer than normal because of the traffic. Everyone going in the same direction at the same time, basically, was just not possible to get to the event early. Like we left like at breakfast time and got there at 11 or whatever. So, it just took a long time to go a few miles. Anyway, so because of that, I ended up giving the flag to somebody there, well, to Jeff Knox. Had, I think all that was actually getting ready to get going. So they had already set up all the stuff like flag poles and things like that. So anyway, they just ended up taking the flag that I brought with me and putting it like kind of on the podium. But because of the way it was set up, the podium wasn't raised in the air on any kind of a stage. It was just, I think it wasn't even a podium. I think it was just like a folding table with some stuff on it. So it was like something on a folding table. Anyway, so it was hanging in front of something that was waist height in front of a bunch of people. So it was there, but people were there. So all you saw was the back of people's heads, not this thing. It was down at their knees. So if they would have removed all the spectators and just showed the area where they were talking because it wasn't on the stage, it would have been possible to see this flag. But honestly, I don't think very many people saw it, period. Even if you were standing in front of it, you wouldn't have looked down. There'd have been no reason to look down. And it would be like a Tennessee flag. So you probably would have thought it was just a Tennessee flag or something. Anyway, so I had one that I brought with me. And then when it was over, they gave it back to me. So I guess I have the one that was there. And I just had it in the van with me. And then I forget when. I think just as a surprise, Angelina gave me a second one, or I didn't ask for it, so she gave it to me. I just don't remember when she gave it to me, and I've had that one. So since we thought that was the only rally, it just stayed folded up. I just think I'd never use it, it was just there. But then they did this rally a second year, and I was like, well, crap, I don't need it. I'll basically give it away. So yeah, anybody who's already bought a patch or is going to buy a patch before this show on the other side of the weekend on Tuesday, we'll do a drawing with all the people that have purchased stuff. And then whoever is around when we do that drawing, we'll grab the flag. Well, I guess you don't have to be around, but whoever grabs that, whoever gets the random thing, will get that flag. Anyway, so there's that one, and then there's the one I brought with me, and then there's that one that's all folded up. As far as I know, there's only two, and no one else in their right mind had a flag made. But I bought the first one, and then see, she gave me that second one, so I'm giving that one away. And it's a regular size flag. Angelina has her flags, basically the same as a regular flag. So it's just, it's got the grommets and I don't know what you call the part where the grommets are on, that different type of material that, is on that side of a flag. And then all the edges are hemmed and everything, and it's 3x5. So size you put on a flagpole. So on the wall, well, you've seen it on the van. The van's not a little van, and it takes a good chunk of the back of the van. It's a full-size flag. When it's up on a wall or something, it looks like way bigger than a poster. Looks like a blanket, really.
Yeah, when I saw that in the video today, I was like, that is freaking sweet.
Well, let's see. So then we also did the Free Patch Friday thing and told people that they could. I don't know where I told people. I'm pretty sure maybe I know in the description of this video, but I think somewhere I posted that people could do the pick your free patch. Nobody, I'm gonna go double check though before I say it again, but I don't think anybody's been putting anything in there. Problem is I didn't post a picture or anything. I'd planned to post a picture, but that fell through on my end. So we'll see how many Travis is out there, and he might be showing up. And of course, barbecue, trying to see if anybody else. I don't know everybody's real name or whatever name you use when you buy stuff from the store. And sometimes I can tell if I open up the thing and look at the email, but there's just not that many sales. So I don't think anybody is here. If you're here, it says there's only 2 people watching. So does that mean it's just like Travis out there and me? Or I guess I'm not even watching my own show. So there could be 2 other people out there watching. Anyway, if you're here for free patches, then what I'll do is figure out something for to get a picture or something going. Or if you guys got something specific, we can definitely figure that out. Wait, what is this one here? Somebody did put a note in here. Oh, okay. I'd like a any daily gun show. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. So this is DJ. I got you.
Hey, fellas.
Hey. So
Howdy.
from that other message you put out there, I thought you were driving or something. Are you driving right now?
Oh no, I'm back at home. It's just a quick hop over the puddle, about 45 minutes round trip. And they closed out at 8 o'clock tonight. Started up at 4. It's kind of a go there after work on a Friday kind of thing. Saturday's the big day.
Right on. So we don't have to go through it live here, but maybe off air or whatever. I saw you put some notes in here, and instead of trying to read it all in front of everybody, we'll make sure you guys get what you want for the Free Patch Friday thing. And then, like say, Travis is out there. If he's got an idea of something he wants or something that he's seen on a patch panel, feel free to let me know. And if I have it, I'll grab it for you. Otherwise, if there are people that are showing up, trying to see, well, if that's you, then that's you, then that's Travis. Then there's really only like one other person that could possibly be out there. So, like I said, I don't want to single anybody out. You can text me or email me or anything you want if you have a specific patch. But yeah, I was planning on taking a picture of a big patch panel. I just didn't get a patch panel made up today. So I don't want to piss anybody off, but basically can have whatever patch you want. If I got it, you can have it. I do appreciate it. A bunch of people ended up buying stuff over at the store. And I mean, it's very, very much appreciated. We would not be here if it weren't for purchases from the store. So I'm not even, what's the word? It's not even a platitude when I say every little bit helps. Like every $5 helps a lot. So I do appreciate the orders today. And with that, I guess that's enough. What's the word? Like tidying up the loose ends or whatever. We can chat guns. I posted in the notes today something a little different as I was ending. I think we had a quick show yesterday because nobody was chatting or anything. So I ended up getting some. Well, I was working on the store doing some things, and I was running Clover's 2-hour chat in the background. So I listened to that. We kind of talked about that one yesterday, but I hadn't listened to the actual chat yet. And then that was the other one, the Michigan or the Minnesota Caucus, I think. And they were talking about, oh, I forgot the name of it. I guess I go look at the video description. But anyway, I tried something different that I started to keep. I posted today's show yesterday after yesterday's show when, like I say, this is kind of noon for me normally. So we ended the show early. I jumped out and rolled up my sleeves, started getting to work, and just started using the next show, today's show, as notes as I was listening to stuff. So I only listened to those 2 shows, but I like that concept. So I might do that in the future because that gives us at least something to talk about that. Well, since it's in the show notes, you have the opportunity to check it out. Nobody knew about it this time, but potentially if that is a thing, then I could do that. And then, I don't know, it just promotes those, gives links to those channels or whatever. So I think well, Guns, you were in, or Barbecue was in there. You were in Clover's chat yesterday, so you know about it. And I don't know if
Yeah.
DJ was watching his chat last night, or if anybody else that's out there tonight being part of our conversation. Remember, we're not here to like impress you with some sort of crap or to get all upset about whatever we're supposed to be upset about today, or to sell you nothing or to get you all juiced up so you just spend a bunch of money and hopefully I get a little trickle of it. I ain't worried about all that. I just want to talk guns. I want to keep the 2A stuff going, keep people motivated and whatnot. So, yeah, if you're out there and you got topics or what, or if you've, in this case, paid attention to Clover's show yesterday, then feel free to jump in. I'll throw a link out there again. Because we're not cowards like a lot of shows. We're not greedy. It's not like you get paid just because you're on the internet and there's like only so much time available or anything. So, jump in, take advantage of the opportunity and chat with us about whatever it is you might want to chat about. But until then, getting back to Clover's thing then, the DJ jumped out just as I was kind of saying it. I don't know if you paid attention or watched Clover's thing or if you jumped in and watched it at all. But like I said, that was like a 2-hour chat yesterday. Obviously going over a difficult, I guess a tedious topic, subject or situation, I guess. So it took them a while to explain it, but then they kind of, because it's a complicated thing, they kind of spent some time honing in the concept, I guess, from Q&A from the audience. So it was a lot to listen to, and I don't know if I don't think I could say that it necessarily came up with like an elevator speech version or a thumbnail version of the situation as much as, I don't know, you could probably sum it up in maybe 5 or 6 minutes, but it's kind of a big topic he's working on. And I guess it's all about cleaning up some of the, sharpening up some of the edges, I guess, when you get into a subject that has to do with monetization and YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of different things that come to play. So because it's not everything, it is a specific situation. He's spent some time trying to focus in on that. Anyway, I'd let you, I just kind of opened it up to let Barbecue talk or DJ if you've seen it, and I'll shut up this time.
I just want to check in and say I had not caught it last night. I was still out and about the town, and I did not catch a replay today. Barbecue?
Well, like I said last night, I don't want to go misrepresenting what CloverTac's doing, but it's basically a YouTube rep of some sort. Apparently wandered into some page or something that CloverTac has set up on Facebook, and through talking to this person, which from what I understand is not a gun guy in any way, it is a liberal leaning person, and so are the other people that are now working with this guy on this situation. But they have a genuine interest in figuring out what's going on with YouTube gun YouTubers that are being targeted in a sense with limited ad revenue or just overall being demonetized or something like that. It sounds pretty cool. For a while, it seems like we've been hearing, how YouTube is out to get the gun community. So hearing this is nice. That that might not be the case. Maybe it's just the way they have their algorithm set up, things like that, and it's something that they're interested in improving on.
Yeah, that's how I would. Well, again, it's from yesterday, and things have happened since then. But and it was not like, again, like he had a quick description and he just kept reiterating it. In fact, they were kind of focusing in on what they're going to be doing with the projects involved. But yeah, I got the impression that he's been doing stuff, and that somebody from YouTube who, is part of the, I don't know what you want to call it, like user experience, I guess, or satisfaction. I don't know if it's satisfaction as much as this experience, because there's a difference between a customer service rep and an individual who's building something. And understands that user input is necessary to build something decent, and that getting some random sample given to you versus finding someone who legitimately is the kind of random sample you're looking for. I think that that's what he found, is somebody who's truly interested in making their product better. And they figured out that Clover is a good point of contact with a facet of their user base that there's obviously some situation with. So I don't know where else to maybe, maybe if you're flying and you're describing a flight, or you're describing like a limousine or something in some sort of a review, maybe there's some kind of other niche where if you're talking about vehicles and drinking in the back of a vehicle, like the back of a luxury limo or the back of a party bus or something, that somehow those people are getting. I have no idea. I'm just coming up with something that might be another issue. Like, it's possible that there's these little conflicts that come up that they're not familiar with when they first build a system, that's huge. And, just like I say, somebody figures out, hey, instead of trying to do this blind, why don't we talk to the people who are using the stuff that's got the rough parts, and let's smooth them out. So yeah, I would say if I was going to describe it after listening to it just the one time, I would think it would, and not like sitting here listening to it, taking notes. I was doing stuff and listening to it like the radio in the background. But I would describe it as YouTube is interested in refining or sharpening up their policies, and they've reached out to Clover as a conduit to the community and this aspect of our community. But because he's a subject matter expert, and they find him capable of, or suspect he's capable of, bringing people together for this task, and then the goal would be to refine the definitions, or refine the rules, or the guidelines, whatever you want to call the like facets that have been not aligned with us, right? Where they call everything a weapon, for example. So brass knuckles and poison, a nuclear bomb, and a target 22 that a little kid uses to, the backyard to get ready for a competition, are all weapons to them. And it doesn't need to be. As soon as they tell there's a difference between a skateboard and a rolling desk and a car, just because they all have four wheels, they're quite different. Once they figure out that things that move projectiles are different from each other, it should be all they need, you would think. Once they've got, a better description of our niche, then you would think they could move on, but it's easier said than done. So half the time, being frustrated and knowledgeable on our side, on the user end, is just frustrating because there's nothing you can do with it. So having access to somebody who can actually not only do something, but is in a position where they're the ones who instigated the interest. So it's not that you're pushing them to do something that they may or may not be ever interested in or able to work on, but instead you've been asked by someone who obviously has some interest or ambition to work on it, and is more than likely going to be working on it imminently. Otherwise, I wouldn't have instigated the conversation with you. So that's pretty neat. So yeah, it seems like a unique situation. However, at the same time, I was listening to that, I could probably have written some notes if I was taking notes as to things that I don't know, I guess all different kinds of issues with it. I don't necessarily agree with everything that was said yesterday. And I guess I think that there was a lot talked about yesterday, and I don't know if I'm hitting the right angle or not, because nobody's here to talk about it. But I guess the idea would be, and this, I don't know if it's on topic, but it's obviously a different angle of looking at it. But I don't know. Let's just say that this is an issue with YouTube, and this issue might take 6 months to figure out. And I'm just coming up with numbers out of my butt. Who knows if it takes 6 days, 6 months, or 6 years. But let's just say it's an issue with YouTube. It's going to take some amount of time to figure out. If it's going to take some amount of time to figure out as a community, if we got to come up with something to work together on, is it better to work on something to make YouTube better and to work with some YouTube policy, which may or may not change in 6 months or 8 months or 8 years or 6 days? We don't know when their next round of changing policy is. We don't know when they're going to get sued by some third party that's large enough to actually make them reel on their heels and change their their policy of whether or not they're a platform or a publisher. It's a heck of a lot of work to put into a task that's one platform specific. If it was a skill set that would keep everyone working on every platform, or if it was a skill set that would make a project stand on its own feet no matter what, then I'd have more, or it would be a different set of questions, I guess. So that's my main question, is like, how much effort and time is it going to take versus what's the return on that? And some other questions. I don't want to shit on it, but I didn't have, it's not like I'm convinced that it's, the answer to everybody's problems. And I don't think Clover's selling it as that. It's just that he has an opportunity and there's no way to take advantage of it if you don't spend some time and get others involved. It's not like they asked him for his opinion. They asked him to round up a bunch of able and interested people to offer their opinions to people that can do something with it. So lots and lots of potential. We'll see how it goes. I don't know what kind of time frame it's on. I just talked for 26 minutes there. It seems like a good chunk of that was talking about Clover show yesterday. So it says at least one other person's out there. Feel free to chime in. Bring in any questions. If you got something you'd like from, if you ordered something from the store and you got something you'd like for your free patch, let us know. I don't really want to end this one fast because it's on Friday and every once in a while Walt will show up and we'll have a good gun chat, or you guys will come up with topics and we chat for a while. But on the other side, I could start collecting that patch panel I was trying to do. So anything else about Clover's yesterday, or did any of that bring up anything to chat about from Clover's yesterday?
Yeah, one of the things that I did like that was kind of mentioned in that chat is now we kind of have, well, I shouldn't say we, Clover has that ear and he can say to them, help us help you. Because one of the things that was mentioned was the advertising and mentioning, hey, I got this scope. And then YouTube's like, oh, well, scopes and magazines and stocks and whatever else, are all bad things. So I guess that's one of the things that are getting channels limited ad revenue and ad streaming and all that. And the point he made was, how often do we see ad before a video, which not so much anymore, but he had mentioned that in times past, you might see a ad for Vortex, for example. And he's like, so you guys will take money from them to run ads, but then if we say, hey, I bought this Vortex scope, not even plugging them or anything, just saying, hey, I bought this Vortex scope, put it on my Marlin rifle, and I really like it. Well, that's bad, and it's going to get limited ad revenue. And then they're kind of limiting their advertisement opportunities. So the theory is, if we can not be so restrained and be able to say, hey, I got this scope, I put it on my new Ruger and all this fun jazz, maybe we'll start seeing ads from Ruger and Smith & Wesson and, Vortex and, just all sorts of different businesses in the gun community, which in turn makes YouTube more money. And, that again, that's us helping them, but they've got to help us in the first place.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where I wasn't there to watch it because I was in Yankees, I guess. But yeah, I was watching that part also. And here's my thing, and I tried to explain that. Let's go see if he answered my thing in the comments, because that's the one thing I commented on, is that specific thing. Let me see if I gotta go to his channel, I guess. And then you got to go to this thing.
Waiting on YouTube.
And you got to go down here. Oh, see, he's got a reply. So I said, store number 1 pays YouTube to place an ad, but the description of the video has a link to store XYZ. So in my opinion, you missed the point that it's a link to a store, period. Who cares if they sell or the products? If store number 1 paid to have or paid to make that video possible, is paying the platform to put that video somewhere, then store number one, or I said, is store number one paying to have a video description link to their competition or any other way to spend money, even if it's not their competition? Like, if a car dealership presented the thing, did they want to pay good money to YouTube in order to host a link to a book that's for sale? I mean, it's not competition with the car. It's just that it's not. I don't know, and I don't know what the answer is. I've run platforms, and I didn't make that differentiation. But that's all I was getting at, is that what if it isn't that they're worrying about an optic? What if it's just that they don't want other competition? They paid to be the sponsor. They want to be the sponsor. It's sort of like if maybe it's more like if a radio show had a sponsor, the blah blah blah. Let's say home repair guy is the sponsor of the radio show that you're listening to, and 10 minutes into the radio show, you're going to have a commercial from that sponsor. They paid for that airtime, and then the radio show has a contractor on, an independent contractor on, who says, "Don't go to contractors." Like, that would be, like, annoying. If you were the sponsor of that show, you might even say, "Hey, guess what, guy? I'm not a sponsor of you anymore because I sponsored you, and the first thing you did is bring somebody on that says people like me shouldn't be in business." But what if you weren't a direct sponsor of that show? What if you were just sponsoring the channel, and you said, "Hey, I want to be a part of your channel. I love everything you do, so I'm gonna, me and my home repair business are gonna sponsor your channel, put my commercials up 6 times throughout the weekend," and you find out that 2 of your commercials show up during the show that's provided on a channel that you help pay for, and then they're saying, "Hey, contractors are a bunch of crap, don't use contractors." So that's, I think, more my position. I don't know if that makes it super clear, if that's just more cloudy, but here's Clover's answer. I didn't miss the point. If what you said is true, and I understand you correctly, then this would be an issue for makeup, software, tech, etc., and it's not. There is not policy for these things, and the reason is that the explanation of a store. Oh, I see. The explanation of store A doesn't want alternative links simply cannot be valid if there's no consistency. Now, should they decide to apply this way of thinking on all other niches, okay, and we can have that conversation. Or as we discussed, if we're talking regulated items, I see the concern. But the stuff is a contradiction of what they're allowing elsewhere based solely on one type of niche. So, like I said, it's a lot of words, and I think I understand what you're saying, but kind of went back and forth on, because I don't know, different ways it hit my thing there. So, anyway, so that was sort of my point, is that what if they just don't want ads, period? Like, they don't care if it's a scope or if it's mouthwash or if it's for a car. They just don't want to see ads. And I've never gotten that. Like, when I used to buy ads on YouTube, not YouTube, on Google, when I would pay for ads, they never asked me that, but that was also 2004. So it's been a little while since I did it. It might be possible now for you to say, yeah, I want to put my ads out there for, usually it's like a quarter, 5 cents. Every time you see a banner, somebody's paying a nickel for that. Somebody's paying 5 cents for that. The person who put the put a place out there for the banner, maybe they get a penny. Maybe there's 2 cents in processing, and maybe Google keeps a penny or two. So it's not like there's a lot of money, but it's incremental and it adds up. So it's possible that if there's, when you're paying for Google now, that they say, okay, for a nickel, we'll throw you out there, but for 10 cents, we'll throw you out there on channels that don't have any other links, that are just, getting a lot of views, but don't have links out to any other stores. Because I would think that has more potential to give you a link. If that person has just watched something and they got to go somewhere, and that that the description of their video is linkless, so that the only option they got is something else on YouTube, or this link that you've got there, this ad, that might be more valuable. I would suspect that's a more valuable, lucrative ad. So if YouTube can sell that, or you put a bunch of links in there, now they can only sell the ad for nickel instead of a quarter. I could see YouTube saying, hey, you know what? If you did this, left all these ads out of here, these links out of here, then maybe you'd make more money too, because we could start selling your space to different people. But I don't know if that's the thing or not. Like I say, there's so many aspects of this, and that's going to be the frustrating part for Clover and everybody else, is that a good chunk of this, until there's like a big walkthrough or some sort of a FAQ, until he's got it all figured out. Yep, you got it. No problem at all. Until Clover has this sort of, I guess, more detailed description of what he's talking about or definition of the situation or something, a lot of the time is going to be spent just refining what the actual thing is, what the problem is. And then, like I think he spent some of the time yesterday having to do this, is that, there's some giant list of all the possible problems somebody could have with YouTube. And then in that subset of that, there's the people that have guns that have problems with the stuff on YouTube. And of course, this is just a subset of that smaller set. So he's still got to spend some amount of time, and he's already been spending some amount of time just clarifying, defining what the situation is.
Yeah, like I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like with where technology is now, if you're gonna advertise with Google in any way, I feel like, and if I sound like an idiot here, please tell me, because I'm not tech savvy. But I feel like there should be something where they can input and be like, targets, places that are using these keywords, like with the contractor aspect, be like, I love drywall or I love nails, and don't advertise in areas that say I hate contractors, and and target those keywords, and kind of focus in more on their target audience.
Yeah, I hear you. And that's the thing. You build something and you're into remote controlled airplanes and train sets and Barbie dolls, and then you build the system and you find out people are really into nachos and, I don't know, telephone games and watches. You know what I mean? Like you have no idea what people are going to do. YouTube is insane because it's trying to cater to literally everything. So, there's things like, I don't know, like maybe a kid, like whatever kids are doing. Imagine trying to, I don't know, I'm assuming it's hard to get feedback from kids. I guess, I don't know. Maybe old people who are barely feeble and barely even on the line. And you're never going to get a feedback from them because they can't figure out even how to get, themselves, they're oriented in themselves is difficult. And then you get people that are just busy in the middle. So, I don't know. Like I say, it's possible that they have a lot of ways to differentiate between tech, but just because you can do something doesn't mean it's anywhere near feasible to scale it into your system. Having a system that piles everybody's name into a pile alphabetically is like, this big of a program. But if you want to be able to sort them by and last name, that software is going to get a little bit bigger. And now you want to sort them by their state and telephone number and last name, or like you start putting variables in there, software starts getting bigger. So when you start getting to the software the size of YouTube, I mean, that probably takes like 2 full pages of code, right? Like how big would YouTube be? I can't even imagine. They started building that back in the day. And at some point underneath of all of it, there's some tiny little piece of YouTube that's still that old, All this time they've been adding and adding and adding code to it. By the time you get this massive thing that's how many years old, working with how many people, never being down for any amount of time, and you want to make some change, I don't think there's any change you can make to YouTube where it doesn't have some, what's the word, like snowball effect or butterfly effect. I'm just assuming, I don't, just because it seems like a giant thing, I don't think you can just assume that they can, or that it's worth their time, I guess. I'm sure they can do anything. I think you're right. Like, of course, anything is probably possible, but whether or not it's realistically possible. Here's the thing, though. Of all the things that are going on in the world, all the challenges with keeping software going and looking ahead and keeping up with whatever's next and accomplishing that, not just theoretically doing it, you've got Google and YouTube literally cutting edge doing all that. So it's possible that they've just gotten to the point where they can figure out, oh, we need to go back and refine all these definitions, like get better terms of service areas for all of these little niches that are, quote unquote, confusing right now. Because probably nobody cares about teacups. Maybe I'm wrong. Because I guess teacup shooting, right? If you're using a teacup grip, maybe because of our teacup grip or the fudge that still use a teacup grip and us complaining about it, it's possible that like the teacup collecting industry is, completely on their head. Like they don't know what's going on in the world because none of them shoot And all of a sudden, every time they search for their teacups, they're getting revolvers. That might be something that we don't even know about that they had to tweak over there so that old ladies wouldn't see revolvers. And now all of a sudden we don't see optics if we put revolvers on our channels. Who knows what the consequences of that are. But I don't know. I'm just theoretical now and nobody's joining in. So I see Woods is out there. He sometimes joins in. We're 40 minutes in and I hate to keep laying it on you guys, but got anything else? I mean, Clover's not here, so we can't keep ragging on his. Oh, the other one I listened to or I put in the notes was that Michigan caucus, and that was more of that show was being aware online. And as I was listening to that one, I think I found that one, and then this show started. We did this show and it didn't last very long. So then I went back to going to listen again, and that's where I was like, well, I can continue listening to the Minnesota one, or I can listen to Clover's 2-hour thing. So I listened to Clover's 2-hour thing and then went back to the Minnesota one. So that was maybe 3 hours from when I started listening to it, or 4 hours when I started listening to it. And I hit refresh or something, or I went and looked at their channel, and it went from like 2 videos being posted yesterday to something like 22 videos being posted yesterday. So I did end up listening to it, but I was distracted by the fact that they don't know when these things were made. They definitely were made at some point, maybe last year, because they're not that old, but they're not fresh. They're old, stale, like non-reference. Like there's nothing in there that references any time when they were made, but they're not current. So that was distracting. But the fact that they dropped 22 all at once was just it was depressing, because it means that they're not paying attention to how YouTube works. I don't think anybody agrees that the best strategy out there, if you want your videos to be seen, or if you want your channel to work, or like, there's nothing useful about dropping 22 videos at once. It's a necessary evil to accomplish certain projects. Oh, thank you very much. But it's detrimental to viewers, to human beings, and to the robots. I think it's detrimental to the robot side of it too. But anyway, so that was really distracting, watching an organization basically just jam a short sword into their leg and then be like, oh, I'm bleeding all over the place. Yeah, well, you just jabbed a short sword in your leg. Well, they don't even recognize that they're bleeding. So I tried to leave them a couple of notes in their comments, and then probably just be disregarded as me being ornery or whatever. But super frustrating when an organization at a state level drops 22 videos on YouTube and then isn't available or isn't interested in any kind of insight from somebody who's sees that as being a dumbass move. Anyway, so that was super distracting, and I'm not going to say I retained as much from that chat, but it was something about like not falling for dumbass scams, I guess, online, and not so much that I guess you have to listen to that stuff every once in a while because things change and you don't want to be listening or just dealing with old news when there's new scams going on. But at the same time, it's pretty introductory, pretty noob type of stuff. So I don't know how many people are going to go in and listen to multiple videos that are, I guess new people might listen to new videos about new stuff. But anyway, with all that, I don't know if anybody if you guys want to chat in on that. Doesn't look like we're getting much chatter on the outside, so I guess we'll be wrapping it up at some point. Oh, now I talked these guys to sleep. So
yeah, that's insane that they put out 22 videos in a day. But that would also explain why when we were watching that video where they're talking about ammo, she mentioned August whatever, and we're like, it says that the video was posted today.
Yeah, August 15th. Yeah. Because that one was super interesting. I think I listened to that one before the show, but that was another one that I thought was good. And that when I listened to that one earlier that day, yesterday, I guess, it had been their only video. So that's even more confusing, but it makes more sense now that there's like 22 of them that, I don't know. I guess they probably had something, in July of last year, and then either intentionally decided, oh, you know what, let's wait for some reason. There's some reason to wait and not put these on YouTube yet, or got around to it now, or something. and just decided, oh, it took them some amount of time. It has to take some amount of time to edit. Holy crap. I think I posted a 4-minute video today. That thing took me all after fucking noon. I know how to edit a video. I know the pieces of it, but doesn't, just knowing what to do doesn't mean you're good at it. You have to be, what's the word? Familiar, I guess. I don't know. I'm rusty. So I imagine it's the same with somebody who's, I think they're a perfectionist personally. So they probably have a real hard time just editing a video. It's probably like a big production every time, which is, everybody's entitled to their own thing. But so it might have just taken them some amount of time. But I can't imagine that somebody would spend months editing a shit ton of videos and polishing them up all nice. Some big live event, polish it, cut it all up and edit it down some tedious way. And then instead of because that would have taken you months, right? You would have had some done, and then you're making a big pile of them. I keep saying 22. I just know it was more than I was going to count. I don't know if it was 100 or if it was 20, but it was a lot. So I don't know if they just had this big pile of videos and then said, okay, now we're done with the last one. Now we can upload all of them. Or maybe they got bad advice. Maybe somebody told them, oh, you know what you can do to piss off or what's not going to piss off all your viewers is completely flood their inbox with all your old ass videos. They're never going to unsubscribe as soon as they see that happen. As soon as they forget that you even exist because you never post videos, and then one morning they wake up and they're looking for hot, juicy, whatever it is they like, and all they get is your old videos that are for some reason referring to something in August and it's freaking October. Most people are just going to unsub so that they don't see all that stuff anymore. Or they're just going to ignore all that and never watch them. Or they're going to be like, wow, this is the best thing ever. But because I have an actual life and obligations, I can't sit here for the next however long it's going to take me to watch 22 videos. So I'll watch one or whatever, and then I'll totally forget to ever watch the rest, or it's never going to be possible to keep up with the rest because I also have other things I like to do in my life. So yeah, I just don't understand what the hell they were thinking. Or they're not thinking at all. And this is just a place like Vimeo or something where they just post stuff and they forget that there's a massive, basically it's not the second largest, but it's the second largest English speaking internet platform. And if you're going to use it like Vimeo, a video storage place, and don't even have subscribers, honestly, make your channel unsubscribable and unlisted, so that your videos can be available wherever you plan on using them. But if you go to a platform that has a user base and you interact with the platform in a way that most people are familiar with, look at my channel. I literally do that, and it's not good for business. It will screw with your audience and they will hate you of it. They're not going to they won't hate you, but they will not understand what you're trying to do with your channel. And they'll just not subscribe or ever watch your videos. So it's possible that you don't care about all that, but I don't think that's the case with them. They're a state level organization. But we're talking to air because they're certainly not listening to this. There's only 3 people listening, and this isn't exciting enough for them to even wiggle their fingers on the keyboard. So I'll shut up again, give you guys a minute. Otherwise, we're done.
I was glad to hear Clover's update from yesterday, and I think it's great that he may be precipitating our voices spreading to that guy and having a revision of policy that ends up promoting 2A instead of driving us underground. That will just be incredible.
Well, I'm not going to shit on that, but that would be uncharacteristic. How about that? There's no precedent, I guess, but they certainly don't like guns, and I guess it's possible that they really don't care, as an organization, one way or the other, and it was just some policy written by a gun hater. But no, I don't want to shit on it either, because yeah, it's something that at least it's a thing. And as much as I don't like the idea of being complicit to the platforms, as I'd rather spend the time uniting people to pull away from platforms. That ain't going to happen until you unite people. And if it unites people by giving them something to work together on, and it accomplishes something in the short term by making it worth your while to be on the platform, or making it fair or balanced, I don't know how you want to look at it, for being on the platform, then that's all good, for dang sure. It's just that I guess after however many years I've been playing the game, I'm just going to put that at some level of priority in the middle, where I'd rather see an effort to bring people together for something like the 2A rally. So we can finish up talking about that maybe. But look, yeah, we have like a rally, which is literally like, oh, I got to go on a Saturday and click a button and sit around and watch something, and how much reaction is, or what kind of reaction are people getting there, you know? So it's not that they're definitely apples and oranges. They're not apples and apples there or nothing, but you know, it's always an effort to try to get people to do anything. And that's even fewer people that you're dealing with if you try to get them to do something online. Fewer yet that if you try to get them to do something online with guns, and then even fewer to do all that, but then also be a YouTuber with an interest in monetization and the issues with monetization. Because unfortunately, I think one of the other issues, and I'm not looking for failure points, but he's just going to encounter this, that when you're making money, I don't know what incentive those people are going to have to work with Clover, unless they're greedy and they think they can make more money. But when you've got something that isn't concrete, it isn't like a bunch of rules that have existed for a long time and everybody knows them. It's not like Clover's trying to knock over existing things. He's trying to make heads or tails out of kind of a big sloppy mess. Well, when there's somebody at the top of a big sloppy mess profiting off of it, I think they're probably less likely to be like, less inclined to be like, hey, let's figure out what's going on. Let's make it easier for everybody, or let's pull people up here with me. At least from my experience, a lot of the people that have the ambition to get to the top of a pile like that are not the same type to have the ambition to turn around and lend a hand. They're probably going to be on the other side of that spectrum, less interested in helping, and that part's frustrating. So anyway, again, I'm not trying to crap on it. He's got plenty of opportunity to talk to people who aren't in that boat. But anyway, because of that, there's a lot of challenges there, and glad that he's interested and able, and then willing to effort for other people, really, because he talked about yesterday, he's going to kill his own stuff. Not so much I don't know what he's doing with projects and what, but just whenever you take time away from your own stuff, that's time away that you're not putting to your own stuff. So you put men in your own garden to help your neighbor out, you might still get tomatoes, but it's not going to be the same kind of tomatoes as if you were tending your own garden, So his stuff's going to wither on the vine a little bit, but he's doing that intentionally. He's trying to offer something for the bigger picture, I guess. So we'll see how that progresses. I offered to have him on the big channel, not this channel, the other channel, the big channel, to wrap it up or to explain it again or give us the elevator speech or whatever. So I'm not quite sure what his email, if he was down for that or not. But I also wrote him in the middle of the night. He might have been sleeping. But so we could chat about the 2A rally, which is coming up next weekend. I don't know. Somebody did just purchase something at the store, I think. $9.52. So that would have been the one that just dinged a minute ago. So I don't know if that person, I don't know how to tell from, can I tell over here? I have to refresh this one. I always get scared of opening up the store on the computer screen because I'm always convinced that thing's going to start screen sharing on me. I guess it's the same as having a gun just go off. It doesn't really happen, but I'm always afraid I'm going to click the wrong button or something, show everybody somebody's address or something. But anyway, that person from Phoenix, if they're listening and you've got something in mind as a free patch or something, like I said, I feel bad. I did intend to kind of take the panels that I've had, which are getting kind of depleted from people picking stuff from the Free Patch Friday thing. And I had a bunch of new ones. I bought a bunch from Guns for Everybody, that cool yellow, what do you call a Mexican wrestler? There's like a name for that. Anyway, a Mexican wrestler with an AK. Patches are cool. Lubador or Troubadour? Troubadour or something else.
Luchador.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Or Lucho Libre.
That too.
I knew it was something with Lucho or something like that. So yeah. Anyway, so that is a cool one. And I basically bought 3 and then he sent me 1. I was like, oh, you only sent me 1 and not 3. And then he sent me like a handful. So I got a bunch to give away. And anyway, so I was planning on, at first I was like, oh, I'm just going to reassemble them on a new patch panel. And then I'm like, well, I don't have a big enough patch panel. I don't have any patch panels bigger than that. That's why I did them on that, because I don't have a bigger one. I put them on 5 little ones. Anyway, I was going to do something to try to rearrange them or consolidate them, and I just couldn't. I didn't have time. And it turns out that's going to take more than a minute. It's going to probably take an hour or something. So anyway, I will eventually here get some patches organized, whatever it's called, represented differently. But did post a couple of things about the rally, so I guess we can chat about that. And kind of mentioned it as I was bitching about Clover's deal there. That, you know, that's another effort, I guess. You know, we're humans and we've got self-interest, and we're all in different situations in our lives and in our relationships with others. So it's never been, and it's never gonna be, to where, you know, unless we become ants, or is there anything like ants that's got that hive mind? I guess bees we talked about. Now, unless we become insects, we're never going to get to where we just all agree on one thing and somebody else tells us what that one thing is, and, you know, so looking from above, and then boom, we all walk around like some kind of hive mind. Unless we go Borg or something, which I don't want to, then we either have to, you know, resolve to never get along, which doesn't seem like that's necessary. We get along for all different kinds of things, both through tradition and just rules, and then culture. Like there's all kinds of things that we all just do, like going to the bathroom and eating and talking to each other, you know, just that fall into the norm, I guess, that Overton window, or I don't know how to describe all those things. So, you know, if we're talking about how do we just with intent get to work together, I mean, there's all kinds of ways that we can come up with. So I guess the rallies are an effort. At least I see the rallies as an effort for that, where they take some effort, they take some coordination, they take some sacrifice and some decision making, and then some preparation and all the things that are tough. And I guess they potentially offer some of the good stuff. It's not like you go to a rally and it's like going to a concert and you just buy your concert T-shirt and you go home and you've got everything you wanted from the concert. You experienced it, you got your memento, you know, and you got your memories. To a rally is a lot more potential and a lot more positive and negative consequence, I guess, potentially. So the thing is, you don't just get to walk up to a concession stand and buy your 2A-ness, right? You don't just earn it and then wear it like a badge and you're done. And you get to go, you know, use that as some sort of weapon against other people. I went and you didn't, so I'm more 2A than you. I mean, people can run it that way, but, you know, that's not really how it works with this kind of thing. So, you know, the bigger challenge is how do we create standards or mechanisms? How do we create systems that can be appreciated by many and utilized over time, that can become tradition or culture, can become a resistance that's built in? You know, it's going to be really difficult for the anti-gunners to get rid of guns through rust. Like they could come up with like moms for moisture or some shit, and they could drool on our shit and cry on our shit and bleed on our shit. But we're going to constantly buy oil and wipe that shit off. Like it's going to be really difficult for them to rust our guns away, because we all know how metal works. So if we all knew how communication worked in a different way, if we all knew how our collective voices accumulate and become, you know, firecrackers or thunder, I guess is a better word, you know, compared to the whisper that we all are individually. Once we figure some of that stuff out and we've experienced it and we've exercised that a few times in front of each other, and generations see that that's something that can be done, that's a lot more, you know, that's the kind of stuff that I see rallies leading towards, that I see projects like Clover even, you know, leading towards, because that's the residual. You know, the specific is getting the task accomplished, going to the rally, having a law changed or a YouTube, you know, thing solved or whatever. But the bigger picture is the accomplishment of working together, figuring out how to work with people who you understand or don't understand, or agree with or don't agree with, and that kind of thing, and the consequence there, and the echo or the reverberation that would have with the political strategists who look at us and go, oh, they're a bunch of divided yahoos who are gonna, you know, as soon as we smack them here, they're gonna scatter in these 5, you know, dependable ways. and pretty repeatable. We know if we smack the table, they're going to run off in these 5 ways, and we can profit from 4 of those 5 ways. So let's just keep, periodically smacking the table when we need them. Once we're not that, once we're stronger, and once we have a resolve, so when they smack that table, all they get is a sore hand, and we laugh at them for it, then they quit smacking the table and they go worry about swimming pools. And stairways are super dangerous. Cars, super dangerous. Swimming pools, super dangerous. Food, super dangerous. So many things that they could go attack that don't have a constitutionally protected element to them that right now we just need to quit being that punching bag. Anyway, I'm getting back to bitching that I've done since the olden days, and there's Bob jumping in. So my old rant made Bob come in. Bob posted a video today. You got internet back, Bob? I didn't watch the video, of course, because I don't have time to watch smaller I was informed by my employees that a video was posted by Bob. We have private investigators keeping track of who posts videos and whatnot. I don't know if anybody else seen Bob's video. It was very short, I think. From what I'm told from my report, I was told it was very small, very short video. I don't know if that's a new law in Canada, that they're not allowed to make full-length videos. Okay, now I feel a lot better. Okay, good. So I just got a indication that someone who I was talking about earlier is not going to spoil the thing for the other person who is not going to get their thing until Monday. Anyway, so I'm waiting for Bob, and this is a good one. Does everybody know that today is Prime Day? Anyone ever heard of that? I think that's today. Anyway,
Prime what?
Oh, there's this thing called Prime Day that everybody gets a big thing about. I guess back in the olden days, they would give away like things like periodically throughout the day, like this is only a nickel, and normally it would be like $50 or something, or a TV. It's kind of like Black Friday or something where they do these deals. I never really paid attention to that stuff, but some sort of sale day, right? They call it Prime Day, and I seen this meme, which I think is the funniest meme I've seen about Prime Day so far.
Does it have any connection to Amazon Prime?
Well, yeah, except for when you read this meme right here.
Could you read that out loud? I'm sorry.
It's got Optimus Prime from the movie where he's all dead, and they go, Prime Day has become too commercialized and everyone has forgotten the true meaning of the holiday. He died for you people.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah. So he said he's kind of trying, he's testing, so it's good. And he knows what I'm talking about. It is not necessarily, it's not like riding a bike or something. It's just they keep changing crap. So first they're going to change the platforms underneath you. They keep making new buttons you got to click or whatever. Not really making it too much harder, just changing the buttons around, which is just a matter of figuring it out. But then every once in a while, like for Bob at least, he probably hasn't been doing his own live stuff or video stuff since before last September when YouTube got rid of the Hangout feature that we were all very accustomed to. We'd been using that since, I forget exactly what month anymore, but it was a Thursday in 2011, 12? No, it must have been 12, I think, that we got Hangouts. And we had them until September of 2019. So for 7 years, which is a pretty good run, a lot of people have been using Hangouts. So yeah, Bob moved around, did some stuff. So coming back online, it's got to be a pain in the butt to have to catch up. The good news is that everybody had to deal with it a couple of months ago, and now we're all done with it. So you should be able to get up to speed as soon as you're online live with somebody and they can screen share something with you. We can get you up to speed real quick. Something is up to 250 people should have working. Oh, I see. You're literally just physically getting your internet in the area. So, you live out in the middle of nowhere and your internet comes from, I don't know, wicker suspended between trees. Only works when there's no snow. It's tough when it's Canada. It's always snowing. There's all those koala bears eating the wicker. Let's see. Otherwise, Gizzard had a show earlier, and listened to some of that. I think that's it. Maybe you guys got anything else before we head out tonight? We've been chatting for an hour, so everybody got an hour's worth. Like I said yesterday, I feel bad for the honest, hardworking Americans that listen to this show, that use this show to stay awake on the roads and to keep their small businesses going. But
Yeah, there's probably some bad stuff that happened once we went off the air. Truck drivers fell asleep. Nurses just started overdosing people.
industry literally came to a halt.
I spent some time handling and overhandling an FN 1900 and 35 Remington at the show today. One sweet ride, 2,500 bones.
Wait, what were we talking about? What kind of Remington?
No, an FN 1900 and 35 Remington.
Oh, is that a semi? Or is that a long
Yeah,
action?
semi.
So in what caliber?
35 Remington.
Yeah, that thing is as long as a 357 Magnum, I think, or maybe even
Mm-hmm.
longer. So that's got to be a super wide magazine, like a super big grip or whatever.
Yep. It's
Huh.
got a
So
back end just like an A5, back of the receivers like an A5 auto. Of course, it's a Browning design, so hey.
you did buy it, or you're just looking at it?
Oh, no. Could not afford it, but certainly spent some time cradling it.
I'm seeing bear bust around. I think I've seen them in lever guns, and I do have a 35 Remington. I just think it's a cool looking caliber. It's not a 357. It's narrower, right? It's
Yes.
if I'm right. It's narrower than a 9 even, isn't it? It's like a 32 or something. Well, I guess it is. It's a 35 now. But yeah, so it seems really narrow, but it's long, so I don't know. It just seems like a good round. And it's straight walled, right?
I didn't have any ammo in my hand, but I do believe it is straight.
If it might not be. It might be tapered. If it is, it's consistent. It's not a necked or nothing. But he's saying it's a bear buster. I don't know. I guess that could be. I've been paying some attention to ammo, but unfortunately, I don't have all the time in the world. So I just burst research, I guess, for my ammo stuff. Whenever I figure I can take a day and sneak a day away, I'll do it. But I basically have to then clear my memory, and I lose all my ammo knowledge. So I know 30. Whenever I do the stuff, though, 35 Remington will be in there, just because I've always thought it was a neat looking round. And for some reason, I don't think I've even seen the guns. So that's always it's one of the things that I always think is interesting. I guess not always. I often think is interesting when I find a new bullet or new caliber, and then I'm like, what the hell? Because I don't even know what the gun is. Because there's a whole bunch of them where I guess the reason I like that or I find that interesting is because like at the gun shop, I would find some box of ammo and I'd find some round, especially the bottlenecked ones, not the shouldered, but the like weird bottleneck, like the 22B or something. And I'll go,
Yep.
it looks like a wine bottle. So like, what the hell is this for? Like, is this a rifle? I would have assumed a rifle with like a bolt action or falling block or some dumb single shot rifle for whatever the hell reason. But no, it's like a revolver or something. Like so those things always seem to be interesting to me because I don't know. I guess it's probably because the evolution. I don't know. Who knows what people come up with for their crazy bullet things. But anyway, when you start to figure out that there's a lot of ammo, like there's just tons, like I don't think anybody can know it all. Because somebody can just decide, I'm going to make 35 blah, blah, blah tomorrow and then make 16 rounds of it. And then technically it exists now. So, everything from that to the 38, which everybody's used, right? So yeah, some of those rounds are pretty neat.
There was a distinct shortage of 38 and 357 at the show today, but I did snag a couple boxes of Hornady Zombie Max in 45 ACP. It's got the little green inserts in the bullet.
They don't make that anymore, right? That was just a fad thing for a while. So that's probably something you've been holding on to that for a while, or do they still make that?
No, it's not in current manufacture. And the gentleman that I bought it from, he had the two boxes, and they were sitting off by themselves. And and he said he bought them at a show 2 years ago and just got them out. So I picked them up $20 a piece. $20 a piece.
For what kind of caliber?
45 auto.
Well, doesn't seem that bad. I was gonna say that ammo even when it was okay. So when it first comes out, I guess it's got some kind of markup because it's brand new and people have demand for it, maybe. But then whenever it came out and it was out for a while, but while it was still out and not rare or something, it wasn't. It was more, but it wasn't double the price of regular ammo or nothing. It was just the same price as like a hollow point or something because of the bullet.
Right.
So that's not even getting ripped off, really. Considering
No.
at this point, they could, if it was normal, they could charge more for that ammo because it doesn't exist, because they're not making it anymore. So there is only so many of those boxes. There's only so many of those projectiles ever crammed into a case with that head stamp. And then, still together as a full box, like, period. There's only so many of those. Although there's probably a whole bunch, it's still, it's not the most rare item or nothing. But anyway, that's something that you could almost, I would not be surprised to see that as a premium in normal situations this far removed from production. So yeah, that's pretty decent. Now that's in Nebraska where people probably would have to be royal jerks, I would assume, because except for the demand from current production stuff at a store, y'all haven't started turning on each other. I suspect Nebraska is one of the states that's most prepared and least like susceptible to fear waves. So if there's any, I just can't imagine a gun show up there being, what's the word, like having a bunch of scammers like trying to rip people off for ammo. And I don't see anybody buying that ammo. Like in Phoenix, you could pretty much go to a Phoenix gun show with $1,000 box of 9mm. And even though everybody else in the show is going to call you a jerk or whatever, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to buy that box of ammo because there's just that many people in Phoenix, especially don't care about $1,000. It seems like a lot to everybody, except for when you got a Lamborghini, you spend that on a gas cap, right? We care about $1,000. Yeah. But anyway, so that's cool. How big a show?
3 buildings at a former county fairgrounds. I would say about 300, between 300 and 400 tables. A couple of people were still loading in when the sun was going down at 6, and no voluntary masks, no social distancing between vendors or tables. They did try to get everybody walking the same direction so that everybody was, I guess, breathing and burping the same direction or whatever. But it was a well-attended show. People showed up in droves.
All right, here's the problem. And here's next time that happens, you should stand up just because of the basic science. If they get everybody coughing and farting in the same direction, it's going to cause an tornado. Come on, they've never been in a pool before.
Oh. Yeah, we got plenty of twisters over here.
Exactly. In Nebraska, you'd think they'd be completely aware of that kind of danger. So that was reckless. But otherwise, that would be awesome. There's one this weekend in Arizona. Crossroads, the big promoter from like California, Utah, Nevada, and Arizona. They do the biggest gun show this side of Tulsa in December every year. And they had closed. This is their first show coming back. No, this is their second show coming back. The first one, I think, was in Utah, so I couldn't get to that one. This one is in Arizona. So their second show, first one in Arizona. But I've already been talking to people who are going, setting up there and stuff. It's smaller and, yeah, the opposite, like all the stupid paranoid fear crap. So, I don't know. I mean, normally, like I say, I really do want to see it. I'm just so broke. And this, like the people that purchase stuff from the store today, that's like going to fill, in the red. That's filling deficits. It's not like there's any pile of money being created. So I just don't think I'm going to be able to get up there. I was trying to figure out a way to like come up with some idea to like bring the cards or something. Patches never sell. I've never brought the books to a gun show, but the cards, I don't ever pay for the table selling cards. I have sold cards, but people expect a deck of cards at a gun show to be like $4, and it costs me more than that to have them made. So I can't sell them for the price that somebody makes them in China. So I charge $20 for a deck of cards, and they just keep walking past the table because they think I'm crazy. So yeah, the stuff I have isn't priced or whatever, designed to be sold at wholesale at a gun show or nothing. sometimes it's fun when it's local or whatever, just to go and use that as an excuse to hang out and have a table. But this one isn't close. I don't know where it's at. It's up north somewhere. So it would be a pain in the ass to get up there. And then I don't think any gyms are open here because the same thing, Arizona's under fear lockdown. So I definitely would be. I'm envious of seeing or being able to get to a real show. We don't know what Wanamaker is going to be like, but same kind of situation. Like going to Wanamaker, it'd be awesome just to get around gun people and not masks. I don't know. Well, I guess you probably don't have masks where you're at. Barbecue, you guys have masks up there, though? I'm sure you have masks everywhere.
Oh yeah, our governor's a Nazi about it. But it's kind of nice. Most places, if you walk in there and you're not wearing one, I have yet to see anywhere that actually says anything. So
That's
at least
good
in my area, because we're pretty rural still, people aren't caring. But sure, if you went to the bigger cities, it'd be a different story.
Yeah, but that's good to hear. At least it's not lockstep or whatever. Bob, I haven't heard anything about what's happening in Canada. Are you guys under fear? Do you have to wear masks around all that crap, or are they leaving you all? In fact, that's one of the reasons I'm skeptical is because we don't hear nothing from other countries. I mean, I want to hear about bodies being stacked by the cordwood, like where are they making trenches to keep all the millions of dead people? Like when there's a real epidemic, a real pandemic, millions, Black Plague took out 30 million people in 8 years. 30 million people in 8 years. That's not the normal death rate. Like that's generation changing, way population change. I haven't heard anything. Has anybody heard anything from other countries? Good, bad, anything? Like I hear the absence. I just hear like a void, a black void. Although I don't seek it out.
I only heard stuff in the beginning, where they're talking about Italy and stuff like that. Then I heard that Iran was seen on aerial photos just pushing people into a mass grave with bulldozers, and they're like, we haven't had anybody die.
That's the kind of country that could use as an excuse to be like, oh, everybody with that religion had COVID. That's why they don't exist anymore.
But anymore, the only thing I hear when I do hear it, because I don't have cable or anything, so it's just what I hear through social media. If I'm over at a friend or family member's house and they have the news on, but I haven't heard anything about any other countries. Everything seems to be pretty fixated on us now.
Yeah. So I don't know. It throws that fun. So anyway, because of all that, though, it would be awesome to go to a gun show. That's normal. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with SHOT, but even then, it's 100-something days away. So it's not anytime soon. We'll have... Well, and one of the reasons I wanted to go see this one too is because unless something changes, like, the election vaccine happens and it all goes back to normal real quick, I'd kind of like to go to a gun show to see what's crazy, because I do want to go to the big one that I was just mentioning, the really big one. Assuming they're going to have that one, I don't want to be my first time going back to a gun show be also the biggest one. I'd like to have at least some understanding of what the stupid new procedures are, or whatever this promoter is going to be expecting of the attendees. But it's not the biggest deal to not be prepared for something. Something else that Bob said out there, and he's not joining still, so I don't know. But he says what he's talking about, and I didn't realize this is what he was talking about. He is talking about that deal where the guy who threw a car up into the Mars or past Mars, whatever he did with that car on his rocket, Elon Musk, he is putting, he has private space access. So he's created launch vehicles that can take stuff into space in lieu of NASA or the Russians or whatever. He's been doing that. I don't know how many launches now, maybe Bob knows, or one of you guys know. But yeah, he's been sending stuff up there and doing it or sending stuff up, to make money. He charges people by the pound or something and throws stuff up there for them, throws satellites or whatever. I don't know what they throw up there. And I guess all the time he's been doing that, he's been putting up his own infrastructure also. So from what I understand, yeah, he's creating a network of satellites that are going to create a grid around the world. Has anybody heard about that?
Yeah, I think you guys were talking about it the other night.
We were.
And basically the entire world would have Wi-Fi.
Yep. They're low orbit. They're going to be like thousands of feet below where communication satellites usually are.
So it's basically Tesla's idea, just
Yes.
with Wi-Fi.
Yes. Brilliant analogy.
Well, you're talking about Tesla's energy, though?
Yeah, but being done with Wi-Fi instead of electricity.
Yes, that's interesting though, because I don't know the Tesla. I know the broad strokes of Tesla's thing from watching stuff like kind of about Tesla, but I don't know the specifics. If you guys are talking about something specifically there, but I know more about Isaac Asimov, and the guy that wrote I, Robot and a whole bunch of other stuff. And he's written a whole bunch of regular nonfiction, like just explanatory stuff for science and math and social science, just things that he found interesting. He was good at writing and explaining things and putting it in layman's terms, I guess, or explaining things, complicated things to people who weren't experts. So he's got a lot of different types of books out there. And then, of course, lots of I guess you would say, there's the nonfiction kind of almost school type stuff, like research stuff. And then there's some other nonfiction stuff. And then there's the fiction and different types of fiction. So anyway, you're in there somewhere. I remember he was an advocate for lasers, and this was all a long time ago when lasers were fairly science fiction. Like they were probably existed. He might have known about things that other people didn't have access to, perhaps, but he was definitely thinking ahead of the curve. But he was all about what lasers could do, and he didn't know what lasers couldn't do yet. Maybe that's the way to say it. He was theorizing this stuff before we knew what the extent of physical nature of lasers or whatever. But he was convinced that telecommunications, or whatever we would call telecommunications today, personal communications, would go the route of satellites with laser connection to the phones. And we didn't do it that way. We do it with electromagnetic spectrum, not really light. Light's a very narrow piece of the electromagnetic spectrum. We do it with really big waves and really tiny waves instead, because they can get through weather and distance and everything better than light. But they're not stopped by a shadow or by a bright light, right? But one of his other theories or things that he petitioned for was like super adamant. Like I heard him mention it over and over, was the idea of having like giant solar collectors. So a satellite that somehow collected energy from the sun, and you could put it out where it's always in the sun, right? It would never be behind the Earth. You put it in that kind of orbit, and then it beams down to some kind of station on the Earth energy. So it collects, I don't know what it does with it, but magically sends it down to the Earth. And then we create like a power plant that uses sunlight pulled down from that satellite. And I wonder if there's some potential, or if he's incorporated, because there's no possible way he doesn't know about that element or that whatever concept. I'm wondering if there's some of that in there, because that would be neat to see a dude who's got the resources and the ambition. Because that, I guess, when you said the Tesla thing, his thing was distributing energy more than just communication, right? But how cool would it be if he builds these things and then goes, hey, everybody's got internet anywhere. Oh, yeah, and power also. How would that change the damn world? Even if it was just enough power to power a cell phone or a light or something, like that would still literally change everything, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, like, that's what Tesla's idea was, just have these giant towers dotted all over the world, and basically it was just going to be static electricity being pumped through the air, and then you wouldn't have to plug anything in theoretically. So yeah, something like that, if they could do that with the satellites and beam a laser down to a fixated point that then harnesses that energy, that'd be pretty cool.
Bob's saying microwave transmission from space to Earth. Is that the same thing? I don't know what he's saying. So, because there's a lag and everything, so I don't know what he's, what he's responding to of when I said what the hell or what whoever said. I don't know what he's saying. High-speed internet, that's what we were talking about, I guess. And then he says Starship will launch to 15 miles in height and return in the next month. What does that mean?
I'm guessing that's the next launch. He's saying that they're going to go 15 miles up and return.
Why would you do that? Like, 15 miles a long way? That doesn't seem like that much.
It's a long way straight up.
Yeah.
But the moon, for example, is 250,000 miles away. And it would take you 3 days of just traveling. So 15 miles is that high then? I mean, I just don't know. I mean, what are those things called? And they just are, let's see, how high are satellites maybe?
Somebody do the math on 15 times 17 and we'll get it in feet with an extra couple zeros.
How high do satellites fly? In the future, when you type in something like how high are satellites and you type that into Google, all you're going to get is a picture of Snoop Dogg with red eyes.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I am Googling it, but it's sucking. I'm actually not Googling it. I don't use Google as much anymore unless I have to use their maps. I use the duck called DuckDuckGo. Pato Underlay, and it's okay. It sucks pretty much, but I'm used to like living in 1999 search engine shit. So it's really shitty actually, but I'm not being tracked. Literally.
I wish that DuckDuckGo would support like StreamYard. DuckDuckGo tells me it needs to open it in a different browser, and the only option it gives me is Chrome these days.
Oh, I'm double ducking it right here, dude. I'm totally double.
For real?
Oh yeah, every single show I double duck. Almost
for
most
your
of this
search,
year, I'm double ducking.
For the searches or for where
show.
StreamYard? Yeah.
I got El Pato on Pato Underlay.
All right.
So here we go. We got different kinds of satellites. It turns out there's more than one satellite. They have low Earth orbits, which are 111 miles. 15 miles ain't shit, Bob. What are you talking about? That's like some weak-ass Canadian satellite. So low Earth orbits are 111 miles. Geosynchronous, blah, 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 keep their orbital period the same as the Earth's rotational period, 24 hours. So that means you can stick it like above Florida and it stays above Florida, right? For that, any idea? 22,000 miles. So what are you bragging about 15 with your Canadian satellite? Nobody cares about your 15 miles. That's probably not even as tall as like Mount Everest. That's what I was thinking. I guess what is the ocean 3 miles deep?
No, the Marianas Trench is like 7.
The ocean goes to 7 miles deep?
Yeah, the Marianas Trench is the deepest part of the ocean. It's absolutely insane. It's in the Pacific.
Bob's
incredible.
Satellite that barely goes twice as high as the ocean is deep. It's not even that big. And then you got medium Earth. So you got LEOs, low Earth, GEOs, geosynchronous, and MEO, medium Earth orbits. These are packed in the middle. They're packed between the low and high flyers. That's what you call them when you're in NASA. So that means they're somewhere between 1,000 miles and 22,000 miles. These are typically navigation satellites like GPS. And that's all they say. They go about, any idea how fast they're flying? What their orbital speed is what we call it as a scientist. They're going at 8,000 miles an hour. So let's see. The low Earth orbit goes... Oh, no, hold on. Low Earth orbit can be anywhere from 111 miles to 1,000 miles. So basically you think of low Earth orbit satellites, which are like for the military, for collecting weather, for making, taking pictures of cars and stuff, all the stuff you see in movies, all the fake shit. That's low Earth satellite. That's the ones they can move around and do what they want with. And those things are from 100 to 1,000 miles. Then you figure you've got geosynchronous. In order to stick somewhere and be there, you got to be 22 fucking thousand miles away from the Earth. And that means that it takes them 24 hours to go around the Earth. So, there's no way they could even, how could you even take as good a picture as a low Earth orbit, right? Like those geosynchronous ones are useful, but they can only be so good. They have to be like, looking through a telescope lens or telescopic lens. And then I guess, depending on where they are and the way the Earth spins, they have to have elliptical orbits in order to be some places. So then you have weird inclination and just, oddness trying to see, they try to keep it over Florida. I don't know if Florida's a good example for this, but some places on the Earth aren't going to be prone to having a satellite on it because of the way the Earth spins on an axis and the way that it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that's interesting. It's easy to remember if you ever try to remember it. Low Earth is just 100 to 1,000. Geosynchronous is 22,000, and that means everything in between is GPS and everything else that they use. So that's actually quite a big difference. I mean, that gives them 22,000. I always think of the satellites as being in a really thin skin. So I figured they're all up there smashing into each other constantly. But holy crap, that means the military ones are barely out there. And, that's they got 1,000 miles worth of height to deal with. And then you got geosynchronous ones have freaking 20,000 miles. Like, there's no way you're going to tell me that some nut and bolt is just going to accidentally hit some satellite. I feel like we can put way more satellites up there now.
So
Hey,
I just went and double checked on the depth of the Marianas Trench because I wanted to make sure I wasn't giving out bad information. 6.85 miles deep.
So that's right on. And then I'm looking now to see how high the biggest mountain is. List of mountains by elevation. So this is probably from the sea level, right?
Yeah.
What's a mile? 2,600 feet?
5,280. It'd be
so,
Mount Everest, which is almost
like
7 miles itself.
What?
I think, it's Mount Everest. That's the tallest mountain, but I think that's almost 7 miles itself from sea level.
30,000 feet. So is that 6,000 miles? Or I mean, isn't that 6 miles? But whatever. They're all the tallest mountains are between 26 and 29,000 feet. So they're all basically 25,000 feet. And if you're saying it's 6,000 feet, let's call it whatever, 27 or 26 or whatever it needs to be. So yeah, it's about 6 miles up. That's crazy. That's really high. Tucson has a mountain, and our mountain is 9,000 feet. And I used to think we had a mountain. Now I feel like we got a little punk pebble instead of a mountain. There's a ton of mountains that are way taller than that too. So there's a ton of mountains. There's dozens and dozens of mountains that are between 26,000. I'm looking at a map now, or a list on the internet here. Holy crap. Oh no, these are smaller than us. There are many, many though. Oh no, I'm looking at meters. Dang it, I gotta look at feet again. Stupid meters. Yeah, there's a shit ton. Almost every mountain in the world is taller than our mountain. I used to thought we had a tall mountain. Our mountain is taller than all you flatlanders, but we're just a little bitch compared to real mountains. So yeah, our mountains go up 7 miles. Our ocean goes down 7 miles. Canadian satellites barely reach 15 miles. And then our satellites hang out anywhere from 100 miles to 22,000 miles. So we pretty much own space. Biggest spacecraft in the world should take colonists to Mars in 2 years. Oh, you're talking about, is that what this one is? Starship? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, hold on. I should just join the chat instead of doing it with this weird semaphore way. Starship to launch 15 miles in height and return in the next. Okay, I see what you're saying. So basically, they're going to take off their C5 Starlifter or whatever into space, and they don't have to go up into orbit. They just need to break through whatever barrier, drop people into some kind of Mars ship or some kind of shuttle ship, and then drop down and pick up some more people, right? Yeah, that's crazy. In 2 years, and that's going to be 100 people at a time. I like to have room on both sides of me and put my feet up and lean back. So I'm going to need like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seats on that just for me. Probably no big deal. First time anything like this. Oh, really? Is that what you're saying? You're saying this is the first time anybody's brought 100 people at a time in a space pop? Are you sure? Let's check that on Google. Let's make sure that's actual. Let's make sure that's correct. Canadian fact. We don't know about that. I don't know about this one either. This seems like fake news. At least for me in Arizona, we don't have a moon tonight. It is gone. If it is, it's just a faint little sliver, and it'll be gone for a couple of days, I think. The car just passed Mars. That's that one again. 14K. Nobody cares about your Ks here. Keep your Ks. We use the FTs here. We're talking about space, and he's going to bring metric to a space talk. Has metric ever even been in space? Oh, I get the Russians ripped off a bunch of our non-metric shit, copied it, and brought metric into space. But it didn't go into space on its own. It didn't go up willingly. It wasn't like it was able to get people into space. They had to copy regular into metric to be able to get into space. But whatever. If there's snow year round, it's not a hill. I hear you. But our mountains don't have snow on them all the time. So yeah, like I say, we basically have hills, I guess. Test flight. Look at this, $2. I'll take that. Thanks. So I don't know if raw feeding's been around before, but appreciate that. Appreciate that. Definitely be using that $2. Here's me. I went to the Walmart to buy food, and I bought. What did I buy? Some kind of bag of spinach and. I had been buying the sliced fruit like a fancy rich person, and then I figured out you can actually buy just the pineapple for like $2 or $1 something, which amazes me. They had like a whole thing of pineapples, and this is like one of 7 Walmarts in Tucson, and Tucson is like one of maybe 5 places, 6 places, maybe more, 10 places in Arizona that have Walmarts, more than one Walmart. And that's just one of 50 states, and we're not even a big state. So there's got to be states with way more Walmarts than Arizona. You're going to tell me there's a pile of pineapples on every single one of them Walmarts, and all of them are coming from some island somewhere where pineapples take like forever to grow. It's not like they grow in half a minute. You know, it takes them like half a season or something to grow a giant pineapple. And that thing was $1. Now, if I would have put down that pineapple and walked 4 feet over to the place where the dressings are and like the juices and all kinds of shit, and you buy a piece of pineapple all chopped up, it was like $3. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
but you get all that sugary syrup goodness with it.
that's the other thing. Is it all was like
Okay.
at least a 1/4 inch of water, and I'm like, normally when you buy cantaloupe or strawberries or something like that, like the sucker way, it's dry, right? They don't like pour water in there. So I'm like, what happened to this so long that it weeped? Or did they pour pineapple juice in here like it came out of a can and they just poured some of the water in there? But yeah, I'm skeptical as hell of seeing a bunch of water in a pineapple bucket or a little tray thing that you'd buy the pineapple in. So yeah, it was like $3, and that's if you buy day old pineapple, and it's even worse. Like it loses even more water. So now it's like a little dried up pineapple wad floating in water, and it's half the price than the like fresh pineapple or whatever. Yeah, anyway, real pineapple's like $1, and I'm gonna have to throw away the core and that top part and the skin, but I'll get twice as much pineapple as I would have got for $4. Anyway, so I'm farting around the Walmart this morning and bought a couple other things. And then, oh, I see what you did there. Here's the thing though. So then I go over to, how we're all Walmart employees now, right? We're tasked with cashing ourselves out. So I'm over there and I cash it out. And it wasn't even that much money. I think it was like $17. And I put in the one card, no funds. I'm like, all right, I knew that. I was just testing it, right? Put in the other card, and that's a card where it expired a long time ago, and I never bothered to put the new one in my wallet, so it wasn't going to work. Then I put in another one, and it was even worse. Like that one expired 3 years ago. I just never used that card. Anyway, I had to try 3 cards. Every one of them got canceled. The old lady came over and was like, do you want me to tell you how to work the cash register? Like, no, you want to show me how to manage my money? Because that's what I really need. So then I had to go on my phone and like move all kinds of shit around so that I had $17 in one of my accounts so that I could buy some freaking pineapple and spinach. So, and a couple of index cards. So yeah, thank you very much for the $2. I do appreciate that. And not only is this show more real, but we appreciate $2 way more than any other show will. K meaning 1,000. Okay, now you're back to being legitimate. I'm a YouTuber, so for us, K means M, even though M has nothing to do with 1,000. Stupid idiot marketing people or whatever it's called use M for 1,000 over here. So I've like used myself into thinking M means thousands. So appreciate the non-use of metric out there. And then $4 or $5, what the hell? Been around for years, but changed my name to match my business since that's the content I cover. Oh, right on. So raw feeding, like eating food that ain't cooked, is that what you're talking about here? Or are we talking like eating stuff that's so raw, like it's not censored, like you're eating porn? I don't know what the whole raw feeding is. And then here's Woods with the jokes. Woods got jokes. You know why it is? Because I don't have bacon on this one, do I? There's probably no bacon involved here, so he's probably pissed. That's why he's not jumping in. What is this screen thing? Oh, this screen thing is a thing of bacon. So yeah, he's got no excuse. It's that robot holding bacon today. Yeah, so I just watched Big Fat and Nearly Dead. You ever seen that show? Anybody ever seen this movie? It's called Big Fat and Nearly Dead. It's free on YouTube. You can watch it for nothing.
No, I haven't heard of it.
Oh, feeding it to dogs. Okay, I get you. Big Fat and Nearly Dead is a movie that's like, it might be from like 2015. It's not new, but it isn't super old. It's about a big, well, he's not even that fat. He weighed 306 pounds or something. And he was kind of fat, but he wasn't like super obese or nothing. Anyway, some guy from Australia, I think. He talks like an Australianish kind of person, somebody from an island down there. And he must be fairly rich or something. So he decides to go on a fast and drink juice for 90 days. And then to do it in the United States, I got the hiccups, and then to make a movie about it. So he does that. He decides that he's got some kind of rash or something that he is kind of unique. Hold on. Are they gone now? He's got some kind of rash that's like unique, and he's on all these pills. And what is it, cortisone or steroids or some kind of pill he's on for the disease or for this rash is giving him side effects, and he's getting pissed. So he decides. I think the thing that got me hooked originally when I watched it. Now this movie came out like a few years ago, and I've been mostly vegan since '89. So it's not like this is the first movie I've ever seen, and it didn't really do nothing except show me a different person's perspective or a different perspective from a different person's like view on food or whatever. But he had a point in the beginning of the show where I probably wouldn't have watched it because it's not like I get off on watching weird people eat weird food or whatever. But it seemed interesting. It might have been referred to me. And there was a point fairly early in it where he says, when I was a little kid and I would fall down and scrape my knee or something, my body would heal that. And I thought about that, and yeah, what the hell? You get a cut or something happens to us. Unless you like lose an arm, we don't have, like we're not lizards. But for the most part, we're meant to heal. Ourselves is designed to heal. So his concept was, if you quit being mean to yourself, then you're going to heal. So if you're being mean to yourself with food, if you quit being mean to yourself with food, then your body's not going to just stay broke. It's going to try to heal. And obviously, that's not doctor science, blah blah blah, but it's just kind of general concept. Anyway, that is rung, whatever. It struck a tune or whatever they say with you. So I paid more attention to the show. And like I say, it was super long. It seemed kind of long. It's not the kind of thing I like. I don't really care that much about food. It was more of just seeing this guy's experience with other people that was interesting. But basically, he goes to the United States. He spends a month in New York. And then he spent, it's 30 days in New York, and he spends the rest of the 60 days, the rest of the 90 days driving across from New York to California. And he brings a film crew with him. And it's not really a road trip. show, but it's a road trip type of thing. I mean, they definitely don't hide the fact that they're on the road, but it's not all about being on the road. So it's it's touching on a couple of different things that are kind of interesting. And basically, his deal is that I don't know I don't know if he got coached. Or I don't really remember because I didn't pay that much attention. But whatever his theory is about it, he's eating raw vegetables that are juiced and that kind of a presser, I guess, where you smush them in a way that they don't create heat. So I guess that's one of the aspects of eating juice or drinking juice all the time is you can make juice in different ways, and some of the ways the heat of the motor or something about the friction of being ripped apart, like there's something that can deteriorate enzymes or microorganisms or something, so that by smushing food instead of ripping it apart, you save some element, some characteristic of its, some aspect of the food. So anyway, this guy is doing his juice in like a $300 juicer. It's not a juicer you just go buy at Walmart. It's like a fancy one that presses it or whatever. So that part of it, if you're not a rich Australian, might not be all that appealing unless you're looking for ways to spend money. But the concept of not eating a bunch of crap that's packaged and processed and full of chemicals and whatnot, and just detoxifying yourself, letting yourself eat foods with one ingredient, not cooked, not assembled and salted and boiled away, all the vitamins are boiled away, that kind of stuff. So yeah, you do that for any length of time and you're going to start to feel better and get thinner and all that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting documentary. I wouldn't say it's like anything you'd want to take notes and just do, but it's certainly neat to listen to as an alternative, idea. And mainly it's about the guy from Australia who does his thing, but as he's doing his thing, he's talking to people, he's introducing the concept to people, and he's kind of offering the experience to the viewer of the people that appreciated what he's doing and participated to some extent, or more extent than others. Let's say he had different people participate with what he's doing, and then other people who are obviously anti or don't like it, and some, I guess, attempt to show the different spectrum or the reasons why people would be against the whole concept. And then I guess also, the spectrum of like how resistant people are. Some people were like, ha ha ha, big deal. And some people were like, I hate you because you did something that challenges what I do. There's like this whole like spectrum of reactions to it. So all that stuff is kind of interesting. But he finds a truck driver along the way in Amarillo, Texas, I think. And he just happened, at least according to the movie, he just kind of randomly meets the guy. And I think his deal was he would just drive up and just kind of, as an Australian, just be friendly and talk to people until they talk to him, and then bring up the subject of this juice or food or diet. And then if they were interested, film the conversation, I guess. So something about that worked with that truck driver. They met, again, this rich guy from Australia. For whatever reason, I got the impression that he said, hey, if you need help getting, he found this truck driver. They both have the same skin rash disease or whatever, and it's very rare. So neither one of them had ever met anybody who also had it. They have difficulty finding doctors who understand it. So they had this thing in common. And the rich guy from Australia told the truck driver guy, who I think was at like 400 something pounds, that if you want help or assistance, then, let me know and I'll help you. And the guy was like, yeah, whatever. And they parted ways. The guy completes the adventure and he finishes the video, goes back to Australia and goes back to living his life or whatever. And then a few months later, after everything's done and completed, but the movie isn't made yet, the truck driver guy from Texas calls him and says, hey, I want to take you up on that. So the movie is about the guy from Australia, but I'd say and I think Raw Feeding is saying he's seen it. I think I would say either a good half even of the movie, at least a third of the movie, but maybe even a half would be about this truck driver guy, and then about his experience, because he's not a rich guy from Australia. He's just some truck driver guy who's 400 pounds, who started out being a little skinny guy, the skinny of the two brothers when they were younger. And I forget what made him, I think something might have happened. He got sick or something, and that made him think, I'm going to take this Australian guy up on that offer. So the Australian guy puts him up in a house, basically like a place to stay, so that he's just away from the routine and the temptation, I guess, and lets him do on this like juice fast or whatever with, just no distractions. Puts them up at some lake house like in the off season, and they don't really go through day to day, but they kind of show the progression of this big fat guy getting thinner. And whenever it leaves off, he's quite a bit thinner. He's not like, it's not like magic. He's not thin, but he's out exercising, and he quits the truck driving job and he gets a job at like a YMCA where he's actually moving around and doing stuff that's more intense, gets him more active or whatever. So he leads a better, more active lifestyle. He's juicing the whole time. He ends up juicing, I think, instead of just for a few days, he ends up doing it for like 90 days also, and inspires a bunch of people that, are aware that he's doing this. And he turns into like sort of a health advocate or whatever. So it's really an interesting show, I guess, or whatever, because there's lots of different things that are addressed or touched. And it was made well. It was definitely fast paced. They didn't dwell on anything. They weren't preaching at you. It was really decent. I don't know if it's really, I guess it's a documentary, because I don't know if they definitely don't teach you nothing. They don't ever say like, here's what to do. They just kind of talk about the idea of doing things differently. But anyway, so that's what I was thinking of when I saw the raw thing. Like, I know people that, I guess I don't know people that do it. I know that there are people that only eat raw food, but I don't know anybody who only eats raw food. And every time I've tried it, I understand it, but there's no way I'm eating only raw food. I don't understand that. That would be difficult to do. I can understand it for like a meal or something, or like I don't feel good and I think that's going to make me feel better for a while, but like I want to eat mashed potatoes again one day, right? But you're saying, I guess, feeding fresh raw foods to canines. So that I would say, what's his face? Muscle Dog Mafia, but that definitely ain't Muscle Dog unless you've been changing a lot about yourself, because you look a lot different than Muscle Dog did. But like, what's it saying?
Yeah, that's exactly who I was thinking of, G. But it's definitely not the same dude.
He's in a different picture, right?
Yeah, that's not him.
But yeah, so I appreciate the what now? $7. Like I say, I was kind of jumping around there, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not embarrassed or nothing. It was just, I thought it was kind of funny, because I'm sure the old ladies that, I'm talking about, like the old lady that wears the apron and just hangs out at the register place now, because at least every Walmart I've been in, where it used to be all the different registers for Christmas, it's just you check yourself out and there's like 2 registers that are like old fashioned where an actual employee checks you out and they're never open. So there's just the one employee that sort of attends everybody who is now the employees. And I'm sure that like it's got to be the only thing she does, right? Is to walk over and push buttons for people or tell people, like I had I bought these grapes or something, and I don't know, half the damn, we're not trained by them. They expect us to do their job, but we're not trained. So half of the damn shit, like avocado, has a little scanner on it. You scan that like a barcode, and it goes, how many avocados? You go 2. And it goes, okay, here's $1, right? And then the cantaloupe, nope, you can scan the cantaloupe all you want, but now you have to go to the thing and you have to tell it CA, and then you got to remember how to spell cantaloupe. And then eventually it'll say, you mean cantaloupe or cannoli or whatever? And you click cantaloupe and then it'll say 2, right? So I'm sure that lady's used to coming over and turning her little manager key and correcting everybody's mistakes or whatever. And she lives for that, right? So I'm over there like, first credit card, go fuck yourself. Second credit card, what are you kidding? Third credit card, I said, go fuck yourself. So now I'm like, fuck, now I got to go on my phone and move money around. This was like $17. And I probably had like $14 in the fucking account, right? So she comes over and she's like, and I don't know if you've ever purchased anything at Walmart, but it's not unusual for me to put in one credit card and then that doesn't have enough money. So now I have to put my other credit card in. Whenever you do that, it'll come up with this whole crap on the one screen, and you just ignore that and just keep working with your credit card on that smaller screen. And it'll eventually just keep up with you on the other screen. You can ignore all that other shit. Otherwise, you're going to spend an hour and a half clicking on the one screen because of redundancy or whatever. So anyway, I figured that out a long time ago. So when this lady came over, she was, oh man, look at all this stuff on the one guy's screen. He must be an idiot. Like, he must not understand that you have to say, I understand my card was declined. And I'm like, lady, look, I understand because my card gets declined on a regular basis. Like, I know how your fucking machine works better than you do. Leave me alone. Like, you don't have to click on that button. but she like came over and clicked that damn button like every time. So anyway, I had this little back and forth with this lady who was hovering. She was trying to, what's like Karen explain me? She was trying to like old lady explain me how to work a register. Like I say, I was like under my breath going, lady, if you want to like tell me how to manage money, like that I could use. But like telling me how to work your stupid register, like, you know. So anyway, I do appreciate the $6. Like I say, if that would have been here yesterday, I wouldn't have had my little experience at the Walmart today. But I feel like I know what it's like to sit there for like 20 minutes trying to work the Walmart thing. And he never did tell us what his other name was, so maybe he took off. Dang, we're at 2 hours now. So, Woods, did you grab anything at the store? I was going to say if there's any other opportunities for anybody to grab stuff at the store, if you're watching. What did I do?
Is it still going to be around tomorrow?
Oh, it scared the shit out of me. Everything is yellow normally when you order something until I fiddle with it, and then it's not yellow anymore, right? Now I clicked refresh over here, and there's nothing yellow. Scared the shit out of myself, but it's because the thing changed, and I think my store thinks it's tomorrow. Like my store must live somewhere in Florida or something, so it thinks it's tomorrow, and it turned off everything because it all happened yesterday, according to it. But for a minute there, I thought I deleted all the orders or something. The flag is till Tuesday. So anybody that buys a flag, because there's really, if you don't buy a flag before Tuesday, I'm not going to be able to get it unless you, I guess if somebody buys a flag on Wednesday and they want to pay me the $15 it'll take to get it to them next day, you got it, right? But I'm not going to send shit next day. I'm only charging $10 for the patch. So if anybody purchases by Tuesday and I get it in the mail on Tuesday, you'll get it, because at least in my experience, like the farthest stuff away takes 3 or 4 days. Maybe like if Bob bought it or something, it might take longer to go through Canadian jail or whatever. But in our country, it takes maybe 3-4 days to get across it. So I figure if I did it Tuesday night, more than likely that flag will get to whoever by the rally. Otherwise, though, I'll probably have patches afterwards. But yeah, I figured that'd be a way to get hype up or awareness up about the rally. Hey, got Catch Bay jumping in. That's been a long time. How you doing? I'm sure you're not muted, but we're not hearing you. I don't know if Bob's still out there, but Catch is in here. I am sure Woods probably still remembers Catch Bay. You old enough?
Not really.
Oh, snap. So nobody knows Catch Bay. So there's this thing called gun channels. So back in the olden days, there was this group of people that got together and created a place called Gun Channels, and it was international. And Catch, if he'll ever work his mic over here, I want to say Finland. And it's been a while. So we've had a couple of people over the years from the internationals, and a couple of them would just be like, hello. And then otherwise, maybe often, like, hello. But then others jumped in quite a bit, and we're in the live chats and part of the community and helping give us some insight from a non-US point of view. Now you're muted, Catch. So something happened. You're clicking something over there. But same as Bob, if you haven't been anything live for a while, this is not Hangouts like you're familiar with. This is a new system, but it is pretty simple. So, oh, somebody jumped out. That was DJ. So Bob's out there, so he's still there. But yeah, we're not hearing you, Catch. So anyway, we've talked. I'm sure you've heard of us talk about this time when we were all online chatting. And this dude from Finland was online live with us. And I don't remember if he was walking his dog. I think he was walking his dog, and it was like snowy because he's in Finland. It's always snowy probably. And he just walks out of his house and he's got the thing on. I don't think he said anything to anybody. And he's just like, do, walking my dog, do. And people are chatting and having a conversation. It wasn't like, focused on him or nothing. He was just in there and being part of the conversation. And then he's like, ding, ding, ding. Like when you walk into a place and it's got like a little bell on the door, you can tell that he's walking into a place. And then he's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he just buys this suppressor over the counter with no regulations or nothing. Do, just walks home with the suppressor. At least that's how I remember it. and yeah, let's catch.
It sounds like a
So
fairy tale to us.
yeah, seriously. So he's in Finland, and a gun guy's explained what it's like to have guns over there and to collect them and to be a shooter. It's totally different than just owning them and everything. And obviously they have, well, not obviously, but they do have much different policies and regulations and rules and stuff. If I remember right, he is one of the places where they can't just have as many guns as they want. Although we've had people in from like Israel who can only have one gun at a time. They can only own one gun. They can sell it and buy a different one, but one at a time. And they can only have 50 rounds of ammo at a time. So anyway, so it's neat to talk to Catch. And whenever, what year is it? 2015, 16, somewhere one year, I was minding my business, and this movie was being made in Tucson, and they go, "Hey, we want people to set up at a gun show, a fake gun show for this movie." And I got invited and paid good money to be whatever props, right? To fill a table of stuff as if I was at a gun show. And then I was supposed to stand there and act like I was selling stuff, but I don't want to do that. So basically, this was a movie that was not based on, but it had something to do with Mike Deddy's book, Operation Wide Receiver, which was all about the initiation of the Fast and the Furious gun scandal, where the Obama's ATF allowed hundreds of firearms to go to Mexico intentionally, so that they could quote unquote track them, but more likely so that they could then use those US made guns as reason to prohibit any kind of sales in this country because of the unexpected consequence of illegal travel to an international neighbor. So it was a massive scam and garbage, and this movie touched on that. And because of that, Mike was brought in as an expert witness, or whatever you call, like a, what do you call that when you're like a reference for a movie or whatever? There's a name for that. I can't think of it. But anyway, so a bunch of us were there who normally go to gun shows, who had good tables or interesting shit, I guess, and were invited to create this scenery or create this, this gun show. It was kind of a small gun show, but they made it look bigger in the movie. And then the first time they filmed it, it was the guy from Wings. I forget the guy's name. The one guy from Wings, one of the brothers from that show Wings. And then I guess he sucks or he's a jerk or something. So they made the movie, they filmed it, and then they didn't do it because of that guy. So then they filmed it again with the guy from he's the guy in what's the name of that movie where Bruce Willis is like a boxer, and it's like a edgy movie, and John Travolta's in it, and he dances with that one chick, and they have to stab him. Yeah, Pulp Fiction. So in Pulp Fiction, there's that. Isn't it Pulp Fiction where Samuel Jackson has got the wallet, and the couple is stealing his wallet in the diner?
Right.
Yep, absolutely. Honey Bunny.
And then they've got whatever's in the case, but we don't know what it is, and we never get to find out.
It's Marcellus Wallace's soul. The golden glow from the briefcase in the apartment is Marcellus Wallace's soul. The big guy who at the pawn shop says he's gonna, have his buddies come over and some pipe breaking dudes and take care of the hillbilly Zed guy on the motorcycle.
Well, the couple, right? There's the guy and the girl. The guy is the one that they had refilmed that movie. So in the actual movie, that's the actor. So they filmed the gun show twice. So I got to go hang out at the gun show twice. And what the hell? What was I even talking about? We were talking about Catch and being from Finland. And then that got to...
He could buy suppressors, and then you went to the movie.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell we got to the movie being filmed there. But anyway, the movie was filmed there, and how was Catch related to that? Anyway, I don't remember. But anyway, so we've done some interesting stuff with gun channels, and I was basically saying the praises of Catch there. He's or when Bob was out here the last time, or Bob's last time, I should say, Bob used to come down here each year and hang out in Arizona for the winter. And he's saying that he's got problems trying to chat with audio. When Bob would come down here, Bob was down here, and I guess I was saying that I was in that movie, or not in the movie, but I guess maybe I'm technically in the movie, but my AKs and crap are in the movie. We would talk about that because I got paid twice. Like I don't get paid very often, so getting paid to go hang out at a movie theater was pretty, or not a movie theater, but a movie production or whatever was pretty fun. Whenever that movie finally came out, it sucked. It was the shittiest movie ever. It was like a really bad movie. And the part that we had anything to, I don't know how much money they spend on movies, because they paid me good money twice. And I was like one of dozens and dozens of people. And I'm guessing we all got paid the same, right? So just tens of thousands of dollars to put this stupid scene together. And the scene lasts like moments, like it's moments. I can't even imagine. It's like the dumbest waste of money I've ever seen. And anyway, this movie sucked. That part of it was really neat to film and neat to be a part of and everything. Pointless, totally useless. It was stupid. It wasn't even part of the movie hardly. Anyway, the movie sucks, and it was like an art film mostly. It was horrible, and I don't think it never did show here, and it just went to DVD. It went to like movie shows or whatever. And anyway, that's what I'm talking about. Catch, because he went from Finland to like, I won't tell you, but Greece, or he went to Europe. I don't know. He went somewhere. He went to like a whole other country to go watch that movie, which was kind of cool because nobody else has even seen it that I'm aware of. And then in addition to that, Bob was out here in whatever year that was. Bob will know. 17, 18? No, it could have been 18. Probably 16 or 17. Bob was out here, being a Canadian, hiding from Canada or whatever he does. And he was on his way back or getting ready to go back. And, it was the Big Sandy machine gun shoot was happening. And I forgot what I was doing. I think I was just poor or I was doing something. And I couldn't go to Big Sandy for the whole weekend. What the hell was I doing? I had to go somewhere else. I was going the other direction. But anyway, Catch came out here. He flew all the way to Arizona and then got to hang out with Bob going to Big Sandy, right? Didn't you guys all go to Big Sandy together? So I'm pretty sure he flew out here. We originally were going to all go shooting together and hang out for the day going shooting. It's just that something happened. Either his flight got delayed or by the time it took somebody to rent a car or something, we ended up all getting to the range with like maybe an hour. And it's like when you've got like somebody new that you're going to be shooting with, an hour at the range, you might as well. It's nothing. Like it's comes and goes in a second, right? So technically was able to shoot with Catch, but in real life, it was nothing that any of us would actually consider shooting. But technically, it was kind of cool to be able to say that one of the gun channels gets-togethers was back when Jimmy James was still doing early watch, so he was there. Me and Bob and Catch. Was there somebody else there? I don't remember. Might have been a fifth person there. I don't think so though. But yeah, how cool is it to build a community and then a couple of years later, you've got people from 2 different countries joining in at an event to go shooting. And then after they went shooting, a dude from Finland and a guy from Canada got in a car. Bob's carrying a gun because you can in Arizona if you're legal to carry. And Bob has got a hunting license, so he's legal to carry. Canadian carrying a gun. A Finland dude could have carried a gun too if he had a hunting license. Drive from Phoenix up to the middle of nowhere and watch private citizens shoot machine guns into the hill for a weekend. And pretty sure Catch got to go see some of the Big Sandy, and then Bob shuttled them back to the airplane. So I think Catch was actually doing something like visiting Texas or something. And we're like, what the hell? You're in the United States and you're not going to see Big Sandy? And he's like, all right, money's just money. So he bought a plane ticket last minute, told the people he was hanging out with, I'll be gone for a day or two, and booked over here.
Can you hear me now?
Barely. Yeah. Maybe if I shut up, it's easier for you to say stuff.
So, so you can hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yes, I changed the microphone. So yeah, yes, that was quite a good trip to the Big Sandy with Bob.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure because I knew that everything kind of got moved at the last minute, and you were doing this all kind of on top of another travel. So I
Yeah,
didn't remember if you guys got to get up there. I know you didn't spend the whole weekend up there, but you did get up there and see the machine guns.
no, I were at Texas with my friends, and it was late night, and I was maybe a little bit drunk, and I called to you, and you said that Bobby is there, and and then I booked the tickets to flight, uh, and there was some mistake about time zones, etc. But I flew to the Arizona and rented a car and meet you and Bob and went to the Big Sandy. It was nice. It was 2 day two-day trip from Texas to the Arizona and back.
Right on. And now you're on StreamYard, is what they call this. This is a Canadian service, a Canadian website with the duck on it there. And in September last year, YouTube shut down the Hangouts that we were using, and this is what most people are using now, not everybody. So if it worked for you here, then that means you should probably be able to jump into anybody's chat. It's, you know, if it's working on your computer, it's going to work with other people's too.
About maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there was talking about making a big meeting about gun channels members at somewhere.
Yeah, that was at the Giant Gun Show in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
No, I think it was when you had this website, gun channels, and there was that this there was a lot of members, and there was talk about let's do the meeting at somewhere at
Well,
gun channels members.
yeah, that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Was the largest meeting we ever had. Something like 27 or 32 people or something. By the time it was like 27 people that were from gun channels or something, and like 42 when you included some wives and friends that came along. But
Oh, you had that meeting.
a couple of them, they for a couple of years there, that gun show happens twice a year, and then after the first time that a bunch of people met up there, that continued. So that happened probably 4 times, I think. It depends on how many you want to count. And then, and it's still happening. The next one will be in November. And then, in addition, like the NRA show and the SHOT Show and the other events, as people figured out they were from gun channels, they would meet at those events also, but those would never be as large as that one in Tulsa.
How I missed that?
Yeah, somebody will come up with something, I would imagine, at some point. There's too much money on the table, just leave it sitting there, I would imagine.
I'm because I'm living in Finland, and time difference is too much. When you have these chats, it's late night here, so it's not. It's when you have to work, you can't talk with you at the night, but I did that maybe 2 or 3 years, and I miss very much those guys. There was very good talks with different gun guys.
Definitely. And having guns as the thing that brought it together, I think, was beneficial. Because if it would have been something like food or a hobby that was less integral to people's core fundamentals, I don't think there'd been as much resolve or interest that we were able to get. Again, if it was cooking chili and somebody said something that rubbed you the wrong way, you got no incentive to come back and you can go somewhere else and talk chili. But I think the gun, the common interest and respect for the gun culture community or whatever we're called, gave people an incentive to work together, where in other less, like in more frivolous situations, they reason, like, I don't care about talking to this guy. But with guns, there was a reason to want to resolve a communication conflict or something, or a difference in opinion. So I think that, was and plus we're just, there's a certain amount of responsibility and interest in being positive, as a legal gun owner, that we all share, and we all know, we're all, again, like sort of coming up from the same page or something. So I think that was a part of it. The gun, I don't think it would have happened as much in like trucks or,
Yes,
controlled
yes,
cars.
yes. I think that all the guys with the chats, they respect many things. So we were kind of good guys. So there was no people who would make any trouble to each other. So it was good talks, and often the talks went from the guns to other social things, like Yankee Marshall is kind of psychiatric kind of guy. So he was doing some mental health things to someone once.
Well, you jumped in, I don't know, a couple of hours into the show tonight, so not in a hurry to wrap it up, but we have been going for 2 hours. So if you got topics or anybody wants to bring something up, feel free. Otherwise, like I said, this is supposed to be a conversation, not necessarily a prepared presentation or anything. So as every night, it exists, in reaction to the amount of action that's happening here. So I don't want to leave it on these guys' shoulders. If they've got stuff to talk about, let's go. Otherwise, we'll start wrapping up. It's been a couple hours.
So I was looking at the calendar today, and I realized that today is 6 months since I made my first YouTube video, and I'd like to remind everybody that that is all G-Web's fault.
Allegory barbecue, you got it going on. I actually doubled.
Ah, crap, the robots got him.
Oh no, got me?
Yep.
Yeah, you're good now, but yeah, it garbled as we were talking.
Better?
Yeah.
Well, it would be better, but then we didn't hear anything after.
Yes, maybe I will join some other day, maybe a little bit earlier.
What time is this for you over there?
9:30 morning.
Oh, okay. So I normally start 2 hours ago. So it would be midnight Eastern. So midnight in New York is when I normally start every weeknight. So that sounds like 7 a.m. for you?
the the time difference is 7 hours from New York to here. So mostly,
5 a.m.
mostly it's nighttime when these chats are on.
I didn't do this earlier, so I'm going to run this. One of the things that one of the projects we got that we do is the gun calendars, where we try to archive our history. And I got these videos set up for the real Get Together Gun Show that's going to happen during the day, and have not got it set up completely, but we do have these pieces. So here's the one from today. Good morning. We're taking a look at guncalendars.com, and today is October 16th. And unfortunately, we are again looking at an event or something that would have happened this year, something that was scheduled for this year, but was postponed. So I'm going to refresh the page so that it won't open too long. We'll jump over here and take a look at the Big Sandy machine gun shoot. So we talked last week about the Knob Creek machine gun shoot that's been going on for quite a few years. The Big Sandy machine gun shoot has been going on since the mid-'80s, and started inviting people in probably the early 2000s. So they've got a 600-something acre portion of the desert, and they invite people out twice a year for a private participatory machine gun shoot. In other words, you can rent space on the line. It's a 1/4 mile long and shoot into the side of a hill. We've attended the Big Sandy shoot. I don't even have to count how many times, and have had a great time, great experience every single time. It's definitely a celebration of our Second Amendment, and worthy of an entire conversation on its own. So that's why we have the midnight show to dig into these things. But we would have been up at the Big Sandy shoot this year, experiencing and sharing a 1/4 mile of individuals with their privately owned machine guns, full auto, often belt fed, often tripod mounted, but also everything from full auto Glocks and full auto 1911 there to the P90s and Thompsons and everything in between. So they even put rolled tanks out there. Often Battlefield Vegas will come out to impress everyone with whatever new tanks that they've bought, to be able to share their fun and their experiences with their community of big gun shooters out there. All right, well, Big Sandy machine gun shoot going on this weekend. We had some stuff from Maine yesterday. We'll be talking about some stuff tomorrow. Guncalendars.com is our place where we keep our firearms history. You know, something that we're missing from the list, please let us know. We're missing an event. Part of the point is to let people know about these things before they come up so that we're not surprised. So please be part of the conversation. Remember, the virtual rally is coming up on the 24th of this month. See you there. All right, so I don't know how well you can hear that or not, but eventually that will be, that'll eventually be portions of the morning show or the daytime show. What's this link here? We got a link to look at, and then Jake is saying, were we talking about, oh, right on, you got the video from the shoot. So were we talking about 22 Jet? I think that's what I was talking about. It's a center fire, and it looks like a wine bottle. It's 22 caliber, so the cork of the wine bottle would be like the 22 caliber round sticking out, and it's longer than a 22 Magnum, but I don't know what it opens up to, like a 9mm or 38 or something. It opens up wide, but it's not a shoulder like a 223 or something normal. It's weirder, like a 303 British weird like that. But it really looks more like a lamp or a wine bottle than any cartridge I've ever seen. I thought it was a joke the first time I seen them, but they're just old. But I think that's what we're talking about. And I might be wrong. I'm not looking at them right now, but I'm pretty sure it's a Jet. But there's a couple of 22s, BB, and something else. There's a whole bunch of little 22s that are center fire that are neck down. So you're saying that Dad picked up a Smith & Wesson Model 50, Smith & Wesson Model 53, and then it's weird that we're talking about him. I don't know what a Model 53 is. Is that one that uses jet? All right, so I'm going to go back to screen sharing. So you just, Catch just shared this video, which I guess it was 2017 that you came out. That's the bigger view. This is 7 minutes. There's Bob. That's Bob's truck, and that's Bob's camper. He has his custom VZ58 decals on it. That's how you know it's Bob's. I can't tell you how many miles I've driven in this exact shotgun position behind Bob. I drive behind him because of he likes to go up a hill and coast and, dragging that big camper around. I figure he would differ. He'd say I always get in front of him, but I try to let him have the road so that I don't slow him down or get in his way and cost him mileage. Back when I was driving with Bob, I was driving the cop car. So that was Catch in his rental. And then this is the night shoot out there. That's Catch right there. That's Bob right there. He's Canadian. That's Bob's dog. He's drinking American Coca-Cola. It's legal. It's legal for him down here. This is the Opuntia or panhandle cactus, and very common. Of course, it's all over the place, not just Arizona. This would be a cholla or a jumping cactus. This is the cactus you don't want to be anywhere around. The other one, like if you fell into this one, you'd be like, dang it. Like, I'm not doing that again. If you fall into this one, you're probably losing an eye and you're crippled and you'd hate life. You'd never get any of that out of you. I don't know how people fall into these even exist afterwards. It's horrible. Definitely losing an eye. This is what it's like going back there. I guess he's never seen signs all shot up. This is the place where sometimes if it's rainy, you can't get past. That's the only difficult place though. There's that little shuttle bus. That's because the shooting area here is a 1/4 mile long of shooting range, or whatever you want to call firing line. You can tell they're shooting out into the hills there. And just behind the firing line, up on the top of this plateau or whatever, this little table here, this is the 1/4 mile of shooting line. And right behind it is where all these people who are shooting have their RVs or their tents or whatever they want to stay in. So this is a daytime view. These flags are sort of in the middle, so that gives you an idea how long it was. Now, this is looking south, technically, let's say. It's not quite south, it's more like southeast, but let's say that's looking south. And let's go back to, this would be looking sort of north. And then going over here, you're now looking east. And then like this would be looking towards Phoenix, sort of southeast, and then this is looking south, let's say. So that's your orientation. If you go back to this view and you're looking sort of north, this is up on a hill. If you went this way and kept walking, you'd go down a big hill. And that's where you camp, which is a 1/4 mile, half a mile away. It's nowhere near here. So that's what that bus is all about. You would get on, you'd come in as a normal spectator, a person who's just going to attend the event. You come into the camping area and you park down there, and that's where Bob parked and everybody parks unless you're shooting. And then you would get on the shuttle and they take you the half a mile up a hill. Otherwise, you're going to walk up a fucking hill for half a mile. Nobody wants to do that. So you get off of that shuttle and you're up here on the firing line. So when I mentioned this is a participatory event, this event happens. And if you want to shoot there, you can rent about as much room as underneath this pop-up tent. That's how much room you rent. And a lot of people will bring a tent like that for shade or whatever, and just to kind of show where their section is. And once we start seeing some more views, like let's keep scrolling down. So now we're looking sort of south, like I say. Well, I guess, is it going to pan again? Yeah, it'll pan here in a second. We're looking east. Now, often this row here, this must have been Saturday morning, so nothing was set up yet. But during the day, Saturday, vendors will start to set up tents here and they'll sell stuff. And this guy down here in this white tent is selling ammunition. He's selling all kinds of cool shit. Everything from like deactivated, demilled mines and ordnance to different kinds of cartridges that are still live but collectible, all kinds of different projectiles and types of ammo, and then ammo cans. So this guy's a really cool, I don't know what to call him. Like, he's not a surplus store and he's not an ammo guy, but he's a collector. He's a good, sales and collectibles type of guy. Anyway, then there'll be like a guy who takes the front end off of a bomber and makes a coffee table out of it, or some piece of a rotor and turns it into a couch or something. There's somebody like that usually set up. There's quite a few different vendors depending on the year. Some years it's been literally like a gun show. Other years it's a wasteland.
Yes, T-Webs. There was a lot of interesting things to buy, but how to take those to the airplane and fly back to the Finland?
Yeah, you would have probably been better off to have like Bob put it in a box and eventually it gets to you in a package. But yeah, it would cost you an arm and a leg. Unless it was, well, and even if it was lightweight, it would have probably been a bullet or something. You wouldn't have been able to anyway. But there's a lot of bullets with a hole drilled in them, and there's no powder, and the primer's dead. So it's really just the projectile in the case.
Yes,
and those can be pretty cool.
Yes, but talk about airport to the
exactly.
customs.
And probably even shipping because of customs, right? You couldn't just ship that.
Yes, that's the best way.
Okay, so I was just going to say, if you're going to shoot there, like all of these people in the front here are seniority. They've been there for a long time, so you're never going to get up here until you've been doing this for a long time. And a lot of these people have been doing this since it started in the early 2000s. But as you look we're now looking west. We're looking towards California. Like way past this mountain is another set of mountains, and then there's a river, Colorado River, and then California. So way past these clouds is California, but this is in the direction of California. Now, as much of the line as we just saw, these flags are about the middle. That little lookout there is a safety lookout. So that's about how far it's going to keep going off into the distance there. It's going to creep down the other side of that hill, so it's hard to see. But if you showed up and you said, it's not even that much money, it's like $100. Like, I want to shoot. I want to pull triggers on whatever the dynamite and the explosives and the fireworks and the drones and the houses they build down here to shoot at. Like, I want to be able to shoot at all that with my guns. Yeah, no problem. Just show up and they're going to put you way down at that end. So just like anything, you got to be there a while to get the good spots, but you're going to be on the same firing line with every other privately owned machine gun and all those triggers that are going to be going off in a second here. We're going to be watching. You could be part of this, and it's $100 or something. It's not that expensive. And you probably want to bring something like this because you never know if there's going to be wind or rain or sun or what, but you get the experience pretty good. This is a great video, and now we'll get to the parts where you actually show up to see the shooting. So there's 3 days. The first day, Thursday, actually, people will show up and start doing a few events. Friday, more people will show up, and they'll have competitions. They'll have some orientation type of stuff, some, what do they call it, like demonstrations, I guess. They just do some shooting during Friday, but it's more organized and it's like with a point. Friday night is an open shoot at targets at night, and they shoot at 55-gallon drums that are full of fireworks, normally aerial display type fireworks that you would shoot up into the air. They just put them in a 55-gallon drum, and when you shoot that with an incendiary round, it just goes off on the ground, and it's awesome. You'll see it. And they'll shoot those at night on Friday at about a third or a half of the volume that you'll get on Saturday night. So then everybody will go to bed and then wake up, and they'll do nothing. They'll shoot a little bit in the morning, and then noon will happen. Everybody will eat, and then they'll shoot in the afternoon like there's nobody's business. Then they break for dinner, and then the Saturday night shoot is the thing. That's the money shot. And everybody goes to bed. Some people stick around for Sunday and they'll shoot a little bit, but 70% of the people leave Saturday. So it's just your hardcores that'll stay for Sunday. And then after Sunday shoot, everybody packs up and leaves on their own. You're going to say something?
Yes, and that shuttle bus, which were going from the place where we were living and up to there, the shooting place. It was run with the kids, school kids, and it was very cool to talk with those. There was girls who were spending the weekend
Now, do you
there.
have 4-H? Is
Hmm?
4-H international? Do you have 4-H in Finland?
I don't understand.
It's an agricultural thing for kids, and I think it's like
Ah,
hospitality, husbandry, Hispanic
yes,
something, and
yes.
horticulture.
Now I understand, but it's not that big thing at here. But it was nice to see that um, youth or young people were there to doing something. So this this event is not only for old farts like us, but there was young people also.
Yeah, and the 4-H group of kids that you're talking about that did the shuttle, they also at the top of the where the shuttle lets you off at the top, they have I don't know what to call it, like a bunch of like a food tent. Like they'll have a bunch of tents with seats under it for like a
Yeah,
cafeteria to sit at,
yeah,
and then a cook tent
yes,
where you cook
yes,
at. And I
yes,
think they cook there. It's not like they heat it up and bring it there. I think they cook everything there. So it's home cooked or barbecue style, like cooked there, like homemade or whatever. It's decent. I don't eat it because it's not my stuff, but everybody says they like it, like, and it's decent price, and the money
mm,
goes to the kids. It's like their thing, but yeah, it provides food that's decent for
yeah,
everybody. And
yes,
nobody, you can
yes,
bring the food if you want, but you don't have to. You've got an option.
yes. The whole place was very nice, and everybody was very nice. So if some Europeans who are maybe not so much for guns, that's a nice place uh, for them to see that that the people are very friendly, even they have guns.
Oh yeah, like this is some of the well, it's unlike like racing or vehicles or something. It's a lot like that, I imagine. It's like people that I've known that do like racing or vehicle shows or something like that. But maybe a car show is closest thing. But I was gonna say like racing, you're there's times when you can look at the stuff, but most of the time you're just watching from afar because the race is happening over there and it's dangerous, and you're just watching it from bleachers. Um, you never really touch a car or nothing, and there's certainly no opportunity to like drive around in a car that I'm aware of or anything. But with this, it's that kind of camaraderie and community and whatever. But it's more, and it's got I think the same like concept. Like some people like it for the mechanics, and some people like it for the other aspects or whatever. But I think that it brings together like the engineering type people, mechanical type people. Something about their what they're interested in. Is going to keep the people kind of similar, but I guess the other thing is when you're saying that they're, it's so peaceful is that I think, yeah, a lot of people think that when people show up to something like this, it's like angry or for some like, I don't know, like if a militia's getting together and like just to be, to focus their energy or their anger together or something, but it's not political at all. There's nothing like, except for the American flag going and maybe an Arizona flag, there's basically nothing. I mean, maybe in a political year or an election year, maybe there's some flags or something, but it's definitely not any kind of agenda or stance or anything other than, well, really it's raw Second Amendment experience. Like they don't recognize it. They don't. There's nothing there that says, "Hey, this is your Second Amendment. Appreciate it." It just literally is. It's just the essence of, like, it's the evolution of a bunch of people that just got together and shared their hobby, shared their fun, and then decided to allow others to participate. And because it wasn't like, hey, let's make money, like now, if you 2020 hindsight, you could say, hey, this is something that people will pay for. It happens at Knob Creek. It happens here. I'm going to start a machine gun shoot, and I'm going to charge $25 instead of 19, and I'll make $5,000 that weekend. It wasn't set up that way. It evolved from a bunch of friends that were just doing it to a bunch of friends that were just doing it and started to share it a little bit. And then the internet happened. So when they shared it, way more people than they expected discovered it, appreciated it, and wanted to participate. And instead of closing themselves off, they did the opposite. They allowed people to participate and evolve, and allowed the event to evolve, and offered resources when necessary to allow it to evolve. Of course, Arizona lends itself with the space we've got here in the room and the type of mindset. But the fact that this thing is decades old, and that it has no accidents and no violence, and again, no like spin or agenda or anything, like, that's just evidence. That is the fact. That is what the Second Amendment is. The Second Amendment isn't Biden and Trump throwing crap at each other, right? Second Amendment is a little kid that likes the idea of being accurate with a 22, or it's a little lady who feels comfortable on a weekend, or some guy who, his job was to shoot 50 BMGs out of a glass bubble underneath a chunk of aluminum that was flying over countries that he'd never heard of before to save civilization. And he enjoys every once in a while fiddling with that 10 pounds of metal that kept the world from being Nazis. And he's got the couple of $100 it took to purchase that years ago, and didn't decide to throw it away. So there's nothing evil about that person experiencing it. Or what the fuck, what if he wants to show it to his granddaughter and try to pass any of that along, right? Like, that's what this is all about. And it's an opportunity for just anybody. I mean, I've walked up and poked a finger at a Gatling gun, had an opportunity to see how a tank is assembled or whatever, like a giant artillery piece or a cannon or something. Because you go to an event, most of the time it's all behind ropes and it's all done behind the scenes, and you experience the boom. Place like this, if you're interested, you go walk up and watch somebody and create links, and then load their shit and experience failures, and do the necessary manual of arms to bring it back into action, and then walk in a 200-yard belt of tracers in on a 5-gallon or 55-gallon bucket that's 3/4 of a mile away in a tiny hill, and then watch that explode. I mean, you don't get to often do that just looking over somebody's shoulder.
Yes. Even if you are not shooting those guns, it's interesting to see how the mechanism is working.
In real life, not like some little dingus presentation that some little dude who has access to some gun and took 15 takes to get it perfect and unlimited ammo. Instead, you just see what it's like when some dude reloads ammo, or he's using ammo that was built by some warlord 15 years ago, or 25 years ago, 75 years ago, sitting on a cave somewhere in saltwater, and now he's using it in Arizona. And see, experiencing what kind of failures you get. So what does this say? Ein kleiner Nach music.
Yes.
Like a song.
Yes, it's European. It's a song.
Oh, that's the name of the song you're saying?
Yes, I don't know if it's Bach or something like that, but when I was kid and I was with my cousins, there was playing that music, and every night that song, Eine nachtmusik. It's so night music. Maybe is the correct term. And it was very soothing. I mean, it was peaceful music to sleep, and the situation at there was similar. The sounds from the guns, the bits of the sound, it was very soothing and smoothing. Sorry, and it was peaceful, and it was it was like when I was child.
So I'm going to turn the volume up. So what's happened? First off, if you ever go back again, or if anybody ever goes to this thing, best thing you can do is use a phone. As crazy as it sounds, because a phone is a pinhole camera. It's designed to not pay attention to focus. It physically focuses, or to turn a regular camera, like a real camera, like a video camera or something, to to turn it off of autofocus, and just set it to an infinity setting. And what'll happen is it won't try to focus on the tracers, because that's what's happening with your cameras. It's trying to focus on some of the lights, and because they're just infinitely different ranges, it's just going nuts with the autofocus little lasers in the camera. So I've experienced that for a long time. But what we're looking at here is you're standing behind the line and people are shooting, but because the firing line is a 1/4 mile long, if you stand anywhere on it and look to your left or your right, it just the curvature of a long distance like that, it starts to kind of curve, and you start to see like a side view almost, and of some of the people that are far away from you. So what we're seeing here is you're standing somewhere looking down range, but because the line's so long, it looks like people are shooting from the left or from the right. And there's a lot of stuff going on. There's obviously tracers are what we see. The colors indicate the country of origin most of the time, and then the cadence, or in this case the pattern or the speed of the stream is going to be an indicative of the caliber and the type of gun. And as you said there, the sound is insane. There's no way to experience it, because this is a unique experience. There's literally nothing. I've seen pretty big.
Yes. If you can go back a little bit and put the sound, because there are different kinds of guns, and the sound is major thing.
Yeah. So you've got a 1/4 mile. So you've got no rhyme or reason. There's no, except for start and stop. Anybody does whatever they want. So some people are having
and you are hearing different kind of guns which are shooting. So that's that there is not just one AR. They are maybe 10 ARs, but then they are bigger guns and different kind of guns, and it's kind of opera.
Yeah, seriously, and it's industrial, and it's chaotic, and it's unique, because it obviously isn't orchestrated or anything. But then there's the boom. So we're gonna quit talking about it. Here it is. Oh, we forgot about the flares going off too. That gives it that's like the cymbals, right?
The sound.
So that you're never going to get it all. So there's a couple of things that just whatever angle you go after, there's just so many layers to it. So first off, there's the cadence of the whole thing. It starts and then it ends, right? So at the beginning, everybody's chomping at the bit to go. So it starts with a bang, literally. It just goes nuts at the beginning because everybody's ready and everybody's starting at the same time. There's nothing to duplicate the beginning of it. But once you get towards the end, and I think they say like a 10-minute warning or something, like they give you some indication that the end is coming, and then it's another shoot what you got, like empty all those belts or whatever, so you get another wave. It's nowhere near as big, but you do get another consistent wave. Then there's the airplanes at night. And during the day, I guess, there's the airplanes, the remote controlled airplanes that'll fly by as targets. So of course there'll be a more focused amount of fire when the planes are flying. And then other things will, kind of create or influence, I guess, the cadence of the whole thing. But then, like we're saying, there's different calibers. Everybody's just doing things. So there might be a minigun somewhere, and they sound like just totally different than a AK-47. So there might be a minigun somewhere down here to your left, and then maybe another one way down there to your right. But that's probably hundreds of dollars every time somebody pulls the trigger, if not thousands of dollars, because those things are shooting so fast and such a big caliber. And then you got something like a full auto 22 that somebody might give to their nephew or their niece and say, here's a 7,000 rounds of 22, just shoot all night, right? And that kid is just loaded mags all day long, and they're just shooting, but it's a different cadence and a different rhythm. Holy moly. And then here's the thing, you forgot about the flares. There's the explosions, there's fireworks, there's dynamite, there's other things that are exploding. People are hitting rocks, and I imagine there's probably bullets hitting each other. 1-point-something million rounds are going off. Probably all kinds of noise that we're not hearing if you could take away all. And then the mechanism, think about all those mechanisms, all those M2s, just actions happening. That's loud as hell. If we could take the bullet noise away, it would probably just sound like a machine factory out there.
Yes, up there where the shooting range is, of course, the people who are there with big caravans, etc. Of course, they have a lot of money. Like those guns, those are not cheap. But like me, who doesn't have a lot of money, I still can stay there at free and pay very little money, and buy maybe a cool T-shirt, and then come to up there and then spend some money to shoot. But this is not just for the rich guys, this event. Everybody can go there if they have a car where they can sleep.
Right, or camp, or be willing to go out for the day. But yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere, so you can't just walk out there. I mean, I guess you could, but you'd have to start walking a week ahead of time. And yeah, there's nothing. I mean, there's porta potties,
but if you want to go to there, and you want to shoot something nice, you doesn't need to have a lot of money.
No,
you don't have to buy 20,000 gun or something like that. But the guys who are there, they have they have a lot of money, of course, because they own those guns.
Well, here's the thing. That's an assumption, and when you look at some of those RVs and stuff, yeah, I mean, obviously that RV is not cheap either, and yeah, some of this stuff costs money no matter what. But let's think about 1986. The Firearms Owners Protection Act is what prohibited, or what started to infringe on our ability to make a full auto up until 1986, or at least from 1936 until 1986. For that 50 years. Minus any amnesties. There was, I think, 2 amnesties where if you had something in the closet that your dad brought home from World War I or something, you could get that bring back. You could get that onto the registry without going to jail. But aside from those 2 things, for that 50-year span of time, you could you could just go to the hardware store and create a machine gun, pay $5 and make the machine gun. As long as you told the government you were making it, good. You obliged to the rules, you paid the tax, and you make your machine gun. Or you could go buy a parts kit, buy a semi-auto 1919, buy a bar, buy any kind of parts kit from World War II. Guns made in massive scale for the end of, to stop Nazis, fascism and socialism, all that crap. So, just tons of guns. All they'd have to do is either buy one and have it transferred, or buy the parts kit and make it. Up until 1986, you could just do that. So when you're talking about some of the firearms from World War II, and you're talking about some of the stuff that was made for even Vietnam era, so that's the two major waves of machine guns. But then you get to the, I don't want to say, when you get to like the Max, basically, or the Techs and stuff, the stuff that was commercial, civilian market, machine gun, full auto, almost recreational, less made for tactical or effective use, but more made for just having fun with a intermediate caliber, like a pistol caliber. Some of those guns just barely started to get popular and were super affordable, a couple of $100. I mean, an M16 cost about what an AR-15 cost. It wasn't prohibitively expensive to buy machine guns until 1986, when they prohibited the manufacture of new ones. Then that influenced the market. And since no new ones could be created that would be transferable, it put a cap on the number. It greatly influenced the prices.
I think that's universal thing, that we don't have anymore the freedom to have or buy the guns that we had 10 or 20 years ago. It's similar thing in my country. 20 years ago or 30 years ago, it was very free to own whatever you want. But
my point is,
but after two school shooting, we lost a lot of our rights.
Okay, but I'm just saying that when, in our lifetimes in 86, you could just go to the store and buy a machine gun or convert any gun into a machine gun for $5. So it wasn't prohibitively expensive until 1986. So when you look at a quarter-mile line of people that own machine guns and look at their age, these aren't all, titans of industry who arrived in helicopters. There are the people like that show up and they have the super expensive things like a minigun, which costs $100,000 just to purchase. But if you're talking, most of these guns have existed since World War II, and they were barely an interesting commodity until 1986, when their value increased tremendously. So I know people personally, like I can't tell you how many people, because it's not anybody's business, but there are people that when they saw the 1986 thing happen, they either already had, because they were interested in them and collectors, or decided to buy product. And when that product went from hundreds of dollars to many thousands of dollars, just because somebody owns what costs tens of thousands of dollars today, that doesn't mean they didn't buy it for $50 and they just held on to it. It doesn't cost you nothing to own it. And if you don't shoot it, it costs you literally nothing to feed it. So I just want to put aside that I'm just really saying a long way of getting to the point that if you think this is all rich people, like you talked about how anybody could just go watch. Yes, for sure. But pretty much anybody, or there's a wide variety, at least of variety of people that own these things that are enthusiasts. And again, if your grandparents, your parents, kind of depends on how old you are, but if someone in your family had been in a situation to be a collector after World War II, you know how much it cost to buy machine guns after World War II? What was the demand for machine guns after World War II? Like, how many people were really scurrying around to buy them? Like, probably very little dollars to buy machine guns after World War II. And if somebody was interested, they could have acquired a pretty decent collection of massively expensive guns today. And that person could have been given them to their kids. These are people that understand the law, so they have them in trusts. And it literally costs nothing for these massive collections to just be handed down in families. So these people don't have to be rich. They just have to have not sold their property.
Yes, Chief Epps, you are right. When I said that those people are rich, I was looking those cars, those
the RVs and stuff. And there's definitely
RVs, and they had different kind of toys with those RVs, like that big one, which is. I think that there was.
But remember, we can rent these things too. So, like Bob brought his camper out there, and he's said he's never going to bring it out there again because it got all dirty, and he didn't want to have to clean it. So, if we were all going down there as a group again, it wouldn't be that unheard of to rent an RV and then use that as our bathrooms and kitchen, and then sleep
Yes,
in. Maybe.
yes. Okay, Kivers. I'm okay with that, but not in 2 years because this Wuhan flu. So, but maybe.
Well, they did cancel it. And that's what we're even talking about. Is even in you can see because this is exactly what it's like every. I mean, the little differences, but this is basically the layout and everything. Like if anybody's going to be worried here, I mean, nobody would have been worried. It's just that the Arizona is so locked down that I guess they decided to. I have no idea. I'm not going to justify their dumbass decision to not do it. Because, like I say, there's nothing about it. It's not like you go there and touch each other, or you go there and cough on each other. It's outside with the wind blowing. Oh, and that's something we didn't talk about is that there's no way to understand without being there the booms, like the concussions of the guns themselves, the muzzles of all those guns going off, and there's got to be some sort of like compounding of the muzzle energy or whatever with all those guns going off. But then the explosions going off, the flares that jump off, and then the smells. All that stuff is different types of gunpowders, different types of cordites. We've got incendiary powders that are burning and leaving smell. We've got all kinds of oils that are getting heated up and burning and doing their jobs on the metal. We've got the flares that have a smell when they go up and a sound and a look when they go up because that's one kind of propellant. Then when they start to illuminate, that's a whole different type of red burn, depending on the country, I guess, what color they're going to be and how long they're going to be out there. That's another part of it. Like right now, what we're seeing on the screen is a very dark version of looking down range. They have a guy that'll almost every single time I've been there, he sells the emergency flares that you put into lifeboats, I guess, on boats. They have those lifeboats. And legal reasons, they have to, if that thing is expired, that flare is expired, they switch it out. So there's a tremendous amount of expired flares that they sell for nothing. They're like $1 or $3 or something. So oftentimes if there's kids there, somebody will just give the kid $20. They'll go buy a pile of these flares that are designed to keep people alive on the ocean. So they last forever compared to a cheap piece of firework. And there'll be times if there's like a slew of kids, some years, there's more kids than others. And if there's a bunch of kids usually it's the kids that shoot off the flares because they got, they're the ones that want to participate and that's how they can participate. I've seen years where it's almost like daylight because there's so many flares in the air constantly that the guy probably sold out and, it's almost just like a red dawn, literally. Like it's like a red daylight with all the flares. But the smell, there's no way to describe it. Like I've been next to boats, I've been next to A-10s that shoot. I've been next to this much firepower. Well, not this much, but I've been next to a lot of firepower. But it would be like one smell or like one loud noise, or like you say, if a whole bunch of M16s were shooting, it just sounds like a bunch of random sounds that are all the same gunpowder smell. It's very rarely that you get to see. Just this, there's nowhere. This is unique. There's nowhere you're going to be able to get this many, even at a foreign weapons familiarization type of thing. You're still going to get just 7.62 and 39 shooting out of guns. I mean, it might sound different, but it's going to be very consistent with the smell and whatnot. This is just everywhere from different eras and different countries and different calibers. It's awesome. And it's completely random because there's no way to coordinate any of it. It has to be different every time.
Yes, and now when you said those flares, the people were shooting a lot of flares, those red ones, and probably that's the good way to use those old boating flares, which you cannot use anymore when you are sailing.
Yeah, because otherwise they're going to catch stuff on fire anywhere else you'd use them. Like they're literally just on fire, right? And they come
Yeah.
down and start fires all the time, but nobody
Yes.
cares because everything's on fire.
Yes. When I'm thinking about, there has to be thousands of flares every year which will expire. So that's the right place to shoot those, because there is no there is hundreds of miles to see. By the way, can you put sound to the video, because I would like to share 1 minute long video, but it needs sound.
Yeah, I just have the sound off because we're talking or whatever. It should come down.
I copied the link to the side chat, but this video needs sound because I'm shooting ice block. I'm shooting ice block with 2 different guns, and then you can hear. Maybe I put different link there. Yes, this one.
I got it.
But okay. So yes, it's 22.
This is just a solid thing of water.
Yes, it's yes, it's one gallon. 1 gallon. So this shows when you are shooting 1 gallon frozen water with 22 or with proper rifle. The energy with 22 or military rifle is huge.
It's one of the reasons everybody hates catch is that he can buy real PSLs. I forgot about that until you had to show it off there again. That's actually something that I don't see very often at Big Sandy. We just don't have that many of them over here. And oh, it's my dog making that noise. We just don't have that many over here, and I'm trying to think if I've ever even seen a PSL. I must have. I mean, it just seems unlikely that I didn't, but I can't recall. I don't know anybody that had one there. I can't recall seeing.
By the way, that second gun was Dragunov.
Oh yeah, sorry. I keep saying PSL out of habit. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Dragunov, the real Dragunov. We would have to have a PSL, right? Romanian PSL. You have a Dragunov.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't get them here. We have when we talk to people in New Zealand, they're similar. They can, except that they can't shoot it. They can own anything. They just can't. Well, they used to be able to own anything. They just can't shoot it. At least you can shoot it. And it sounds like, I don't think I've ever seen your shooting range. Is that a shooting range, or is that just someplace in the woods?
Sorry, shooting range.
Is that a dedicated place where everyone goes shooting, or is that just
no. We have, of course, we have shooting range like you have, but this one is at military place. But it's not the big deal. We have places where we can shoot. So
well, you've seen that one in Phoenix.
Don't feel sorry for us.
No, no, I just didn't know if that was. We have places where, just somewhere in the country that you just pull off the road and find a place that nobody cares if you make noise and you shoot. I didn't know if that was a place like that or if you were at a facility or something.
Basically, you cannot shoot outside of shooting range. But
Oh, okay.
but if you have a lot of land, then you can shoot there. And I have that amount of land, so I can shoot in my place. But if you are if you are living in the city and you don't have land, then you have to go to the shooting ranges. You cannot go to some random place and shoot there.
Yeah, like
You
here, well, you were in
you
Arizona.
you
Like
you have to own the land.
Yeah, I hear you. Here in Arizona, when you were driving around, probably, well, the state breaks down to be something like 70% of the state is owned by the government, the federal government. Probably 20% of it is Indian reservations, so that's sovereign nations, right? They're separate. And then the rest of it is private land that people possess. That's only like 10% of Arizona. So most of the stuff that you drove through was either forest or one of the federal agencies that operate or the land is in trust to. So we can use that land for all different kinds of things, and shooting is one of them for most of that land, unless you're like right next to a railroad track or somebody's house. Most of that land is available for hunting or just recreational shooting. Sometimes if there's a special plant or a critter, they'll restrict it. But for the most part, most of that land you went past, as long as you're not bothering anybody, you could kind of pull off and stay. As long as you're far enough away from a road and you're not shooting across a river or something that's dangerous, you can just do whatever you want. And unless there's somebody there to complain. So that sounds like we never really talked about that, I guess, but that sounds like a difference. You can't just go to the top of some mountain and not be hunting and just decide to pop off a few rounds then.
Yes, for hunting you can go and hunt, but but just shooting some papers or metal targets, you cannot do that.
Damn, that's frustrating. Now, it's probably, well, I don't know. It's a big country, so I guess it would depend. But like you say, if you had an ornery neighbor or something and they complained all the time, would they be able to stop you from shooting on your own land?
I'm not sure about that, because that place which I have, there are not much neighbors. But but it's if you have if you have land, I don't remember how much you need to have. Then you have some. Then you can do something like hunting or doing private shooting range at that place. But we have a lot of rules, so it's not that easy like you have. But we can do that if we follow the rules. We can have our own shooting ranges if we do what we have to do for that. It's not impossible. It's possible, but it needs some work.
Right on. Well, dude, I appreciate you jumping in. It's good chatting with you again. We almost shut it down an hour ago, but then we kept chatting here for a bit. I don't think anybody's out there anymore. The last comment we got was an hour ago. So I think we killed everybody on the outside chat. We literally just have coma victims and elderly people that have fallen asleep. Hopefully they didn't drop their pudding or a cigarette or something like that. But if anybody's listening to this part in another room, it's time to go in there and put a shawl or something over grandpa or grandma. Probably a lot of grandmas listening. I don't know if DJ's still listening. Barbecue's usually asleep by now. If you guys got
I am here.
I'm still
I gotta
alive.
Yeah, I've just been enjoying the conversation you two have been having. Big Sandy has been on my big ticket to punch list, and I haven't made it yet. Looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then the part about how a dude from Finland can like just show up and have fun. Did you rent anything when you were there, Catch?
No, I didn't.
But that's just because you decided not to. I mean, you could have pulled triggers or somewhere in the middle there. There's only one place. It's not like I think Knob Creek has more rental opportunities. There's only the one place that's like sanctioned because they don't want to be wasting a bunch of effort to make sure that everybody's not being weird. But you can go to this one guy and he'll have, I don't know, a dozen or more, maybe 18 guns you kind of choose from. And then like you poke, there's a pegboard. He's got all these guns on it. You look, you point at the gun. He just picks the gun up. You load it and you shoot it. So it's not like you're at some sort of an amusement park. Like you're just like, I want to shoot this AMD. All right, shoot it full auto AMD. And I forget what it is. It's not that much. I think I've even rented there because it's an opportunity to shoot a gun and maybe you haven't shot before or whatever. I think it's like a mag for $20. It's not the most. It's not the cheap. And probably the cheapest I actually. Might be the cheapest I've ever shot full auto that you had to pay for. But anyway, I think they do that just during the day. That might be the thing too. I don't think they had it open at night because it's just a little unsafe or less safe, I guess, to have to do it at night, and they don't want to have to turn on a bunch of lights and bother people's night vision. I guess that's something we didn't bring up either. That you don't really. It depends on the video and what the situation that time. But a lot of people are using night vision and lasers out there at night. And the laser type of, I don't know, that added thing with between the lasers, kind of, lasers aren't, sometimes they're on all the time, but typically they're more like targeting, you spot with the laser. And then once you're on, then you pull the trigger. So it's kind of that back and forth between the straight laser and then that, what do you call, like stream shape of the stream of tracers. And they're just like fluid, they creep out there, they're on fire and they creep out, they flow for a while. And then when they stop, you can see the end of them. Like tracers are just different, they travel unlike a laser, which is just on and off. And then again, there's different lasers, green and blue and red, different colors, I guess, even, and different intensities. There's real lasers, somebody's got a minigun with a laser on it. They're not wasting their time with some dinky laser. They're putting on a laser that's probably starting fires down there. And different kind of tracers. Anyway, yeah, we could talk forever about Sandy. It would have been this weekend. It isn't. Anybody else? I don't want to keep cutting us off, but at 3 hours, that means it's already past midnight for me. So I am killing my work day today.
No, I'm just sitting here playing with my 1911s.
Right on. Well, we're probably missing something, but at 3 hours, like I say, I'm not going to necessarily panic to end here, but I'm going to keep winding it down. Otherwise, because we've chatted for 5 hours before, and I don't have a problem chatting for 5 hours, just I can't necessarily afford it. I really do appreciate the people that bought stuff over at the store. Every single dollar is appreciated, and stay tuned. I've got some things coming for the Patreons for sure. The Patreons already know that the whole flag thing, you've got a whole nother layer to the flag situation. So we will be giving away the 2A rally flag, the full size 3 by 5 foot flag that Alan Anchor made for us. And anybody who's purchased one of the rally flags, patches or whatever, either one of them, any of those ones that you purchased are in the running. Every patch is another one. So I think Barbecue has bought a couple, right? You usually buy them for your kids. So however many, that's basically that many entries. And, we do appreciate the people that purchase stuff from the stores, obviously our Patreons. And I don't know, I'm trying to wrap it up, but do you guys have anything else? I don't want to cut us off or stop in mid subject or something.
I'm good to go. I look forward to seeing y'all on Monday. Y'all be safe, take care, and play hard.
Thanks again, Catch, for jumping in. Go get some sleep or go back to work, whatever it is. I forget where you're at with doing stuff. Barbecue, you got anything else?
I'll just ditto what DJ said.
Okay, so this is Friday, and we will be back on Monday, maybe with the new format. Either way, we'll be back to pick you up later.